Hello, everybody. Greetings and welcome. My name is Tyler Adolfo, and in this live stream, we are going to do something very interesting. I'm going to be reacting to 10 videos that I had filmed while I was in a manic state. While I was in mania, I recorded over 50 different videos, possibly more. I haven't manually gone through and methodically counted them all. I will concede that. And it's not something I plan on doing, but probably about 50, somewhere in that range. I picked 10 different videos from that category of videos I filmed while manic, and I'll be reacting to each of those videos over the course of this stream. I'm going to do as limited interruptions as possible. So I'm not going to pause the videos every 30 seconds and comment on every sentence I do or that I did while I was manic. Rather, I'm going to let the videos kind of play out, and I'll react every few minutes to a video, depending on the length of the video. Some of these are pretty long, others are as short as 3 minutes. So for the 3 minute videos, I'll probably just let it play out. For the longer videos, if it's say 10 minutes, I might stop it at the 3 minute mark and then the 6 minute mark, and then at the end of the video to wrap it up. I came prepared. I brought drinks. As you could probably determine from the title, I do in fact have bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed in 2021 amidst a 6-month long bipolar manic episode, during which I experienced a variety of delusions and hallucinations. I was extremely talkative. I was like a delusional auctioneer at times. People couldn't get a word in with me. And what I really wanted to pay attention to in these videos I'll be reacting to is how incoherent I was, how I floated from one topic to another. And it's really terrifying to look at in hindsight. I have watched some of these since then. I have not watched all of them. So some of these I'll be reacting to for the first time since I filmed them. And I'm a little bit nervous about that because during Mania, I said a lot of extremely out of left field things, very out of pocket things. Now, one last thing I want to preface this first video before I start the reaction. The beliefs that I espouse in these videos are not an accurate reflection of how I actually view or perceive the world. I was in a manic state. I was experiencing delusions, and I was completely antithetical to my actual character. So I do want to preface this first video with that. With that being said, the first video, I'll actually type these out. Or I don't know. I don't know if I should do that actually. I could just copy and paste instead of type it out, just to let you know, give you a roadmap of where we're going. Oh, video 1. Wow, this one's a mouthful. Alex Jones claims Don Jr. has improved at public speaking. TYT freaks out. Speech champion reacts. That's the first one I'll be reacting to. The second one, just the title alone kind of makes me laugh, but it's Logan Paul won both fights. I have actually watched the fights, and I don't think that's the case. When I was manic, I thought that was the case. That's how you know I was delusional. I thought Logan Paul won both fights. This one's also totally out of it here. We got LeBron James is not a top 5 player. This is the full title right there. The next one, I'm not sure what this one's even about, but the title's kind of funny. I hope I don't say anything crazy. Why support building a wall around Florida? This one definitely looks very political oriented. And that's another thing. From what I could tell, my politics while manic, I mean, they were definitely different than when I was, now that I'm stable, but there was no degree of consistency in my beliefs whatsoever. It's like almost a parody level of stupidity that I exhibited. My political ideals would fluctuate on a daily basis. All right, so I just typed in two more. We got video 5. Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel than arrogant, holier than thou chicken cuck conservatives. We got video 6. Outright darling Tulsi wasn't censored from the 2020 Democratic debates, but she should have been. And I actually did just upload a video on my channel. It's a 40-minute rant I went on while manic. None of the videos I'll be reacting to today are that long. However, in that video, I didn't do a reaction. I just uploaded the raw footage so people could make their own opinions and assessments. All right, I just got 3 more to paste in here. I should have did this before I started the stream. I apologize. But if anybody is here, appreciate you being here. Video 9. There we go. One more. Thank you for bearing with me if anybody's here. I can't really tell. Okay, this one's a pretty funny title, I got to admit. You got to find humor in some of these things, right? Self-deprecation. Humor is a great form of medicine, in my view. That's why I have a video on my channel. It actually did pretty well, too. It's hilarious things I did while manic, where I talk about some of the more lighthearted things. Okay, that being said, let me screen share, and I hope this works more efficiently than it did yesterday. It took a little bit before. Okay, yes, Alex Jones claims Don Jr. has improved at public speaking. So I'm not sure if you could see that, whether or not you can see my screen here. If there is somebody here, if you could just let me know in chat. If not, I'm going to pull out my phone for a moment and connect to the stream just to see if... Okay, it looks like we can see the video. If at any point you need me to adjust the sound levels or anything, please let me know and I'll fix that for you. So this is an 8-minute video. I'll let this run till the 3-minute mark. Then I'm going to stop it and give my initial reaction. And if there's any questions or comments at that time, I'll address them. But after that, we'll finish the rest of the video and I'll give my closing thoughts on this one. Here we go, y'all.
What's going on, everyone? It's 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the space state of Massachusetts, and it is March 12th. My name is Tyler Adolfo, and today I'm going to react to IT's recent upload. Alex Jones seriously compared Don Jr. to MLK. Now, I actually don't agree with Alex Jones on a whole lot, but this is an instance where I am in complete agreement. There's lots of similarities and comparisons to MLK to Don Jr. Remember, comparison is a neutral word. If you try explaining that to a TYT supporter or a TYT anchor, even worse, you'll be met with strong resistance because they don't operate in facts. But let's take a look at what Shank says. If it is Shank, let's see who it is. I'm assuming it could be that Anna. Who knows?
My thing, but if it was, it would be fine if I was on that side.
So at his CPAC last month, well, Trump's son essentially now...
At his CPAC last month. All right, that's not even like... knowing how to structure sentences is an important tool with communicating. Please continue.
He is going out of his way to say that he's not on cocaine because he had to allude during his CPAC speech that he was not a drug user. So, of course, making that...
He did not have to. He chose to, because people in mainstream media, and even worse yourself, anchors on TYT will insinuate that anyone who disagrees with you must be a drug user. Yes, it's true. People who have human emotion and are passionate about the 60 million black aborted babies or about the black children who would have to die to go fight in a war based off Red Scare lies by your side. Yes, they're passionate. It doesn't mean that they're drug users.
Illusion quite naturally essentially puts us in a position where it is fueling speculation that he in fact may be abusing drugs. And a person
It is in fact there's in a position fueling speculation.
You're the only one speculating. It's you. You don't speak for anyone but yourself. You're fueling your own ego. That's what's getting fueled. You know, it's not getting fueled is the gas tanks of Americans who know that it was a mistake to elect Joe Biden president of this country over competent options, like those on the Republican side.
who didn't like that speculation was one Alex Jones. Of course, as we know, Alex Jones isn't much for.
Listen to the way she said, Alex Jones. I'm just totally a neutral part. Alex Jones. I'm so sassy when I spread my propaganda.
Speculation, right? So the InfoWars conspiracy theorist jumps to Don Jr.'s defense. Watch this.
Don Jr. is a cokehead because he has high energy, and they always say that about me. You got the wrong guy. I don't need stimulants. Anything alcohol I've done over the years off and on because it lowers me down. See, the left doesn't have energy, folks. They don't get like.
That's just a scientific fact. Alcohol can lower people who are naturally high energy. It has different effects on different people. It definitely makes you more confident.
All right, so it looks like we're 3 minutes, 14 seconds in. We are going to finish the rest of this, but there's a couple things, I mentioned a couple things I want to bring up. So it appears to me that in this video, I express support or endorse ideas disseminated by Alex Jones, which I do not do when I'm stable. Not a fan of the guy. I think that he's very divisive. I think he's irrational and a whole sort of other things, but there's something notable I did while in Mania. I don't bring it up in this video, I think, but I actually sent an email to InfoWars while I was manic. And the title of the email was like, I'm Tyler Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. And I sent that to the InfoWars whistleblowers email. I have a video on my channel where I react to that, reading crazy emails that I sent while manic. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on this so far. This is very out of character for me. I will add that many years ago, like when I was younger, like 13, 14-ish, I was a conspiracy theorist, admittedly, and I'm embarrassed about that fact. But I grew out of those beliefs. And what's interesting is during Mania, many of those conspiratorial beliefs and that distorted kind of thinking reemerged and became a part of my mind again. Okay, so we're going to finish the rest of this video now, and then I'll give any final closing thoughts on this, answer any questions or comments as well. And then the next one is Logan Paul won both fights.
Just a scientific fact. But yeah, I agree with Alex's statement. Having high energy does not make you a drug user. Correct.
You're giving a powerful speech, and he's really becoming a good orator. He's one of the best. I mean, just a couple years ago, he was okay. Now it's like, damn, that's a powerful speech. That's better than Joel Osteen or somebody, or Martin Luther King. I'm not kissing his ass. I mean, he's just come a long way. He's on cocaine. That's cocaine. No, that's Cupid.
I don't know. I think you may be kissing a little bit, Alex. It's okay. It's okay. I personally wouldn't kiss any ass, but with my own. But you do tend to kiss Trump's ass a little bit.
That eat cocaine to get up off your ass.
Yeah, I could really see that analogy there being completely and totally accurate. Don Jr. and MLK. Jank.
Did you not listen to directly what he said? He was talking specifically about oratory ability, and whether you agree with them in terms of policy or not, you can't just cast aside his actual argument and then go into the interpretive and then talk about things that Alex never said. Don Jr., in terms of policies and practice, does far more for Black lives than even Martin Luther King did. And I say that because this modern moment we're living in is even arguably more racist, more prejudiced. than the type that Martin Luther King faced, specifically because of the incitements of violence that Bernie bros and the far progressive left, the so-called progressive left, which is actually more regressive than anything, will launch against anyone who disagrees with them. When there was literally an insurrection in the capital of this country by so-called Black Lives Matter supporters, which had nothing to do with supporting Black lives, you people turned a blind eye and deaf ear and justified it and called it peaceful. There was nothing peaceful about Occupy Seattle. There was nothing peaceful about the insurrection against this government by fake Black Lives Matter supporters. There's nothing peaceful about moms in Chicago and Detroit unable to protect themselves from violent thugs in the police departments, which you want to protect in terms of policy. But, let's take a look at what Shank says, too. Let's see how his response is even more condescending and degenerate than your own.
I mean, just when you thought Alex Jones couldn't say anything crazier. Okay. So, first of all,
let's be clear what Alex said. He speaks a lot and gotten better at public speaking. That's what Martin Luther King did too. He got better and better as time went on. What's the
walk into a room and go, "I'm not on crack." It does lead to questions. I'm not sure that anybody had asked. And then
no.
Secondarily,
you asked all the time. I could pull up dozens of videos of TYT anchors and mainstream media parroting these disingenuous arguments that anyone who disagrees with them must be on something. It's pure delusion what Shank is doing. He should consider checking himself in and like getting therapy somewhere, because this dude is just way out of it.
Very ironic.
Alex Jones sees that and goes, "Did you see that speech about how he wasn't on crack? Really powerful orator." Like, I mean, the number of speeches that Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi.
I remember when Alex Jones and Roger Stone confronted Shank, and Cenk Uygur got extremely emotional and upset and triggered and stamped around, and he didn't actually do anything because he doesn't believe in violence, because he'll get his teeth racked in. But it's crazy how Shank tried to initiate violence against Alex Jones when Alex Jones was simply doing a disagreement, or he would try to fight an old man like Roger Stone for correctly pointing out that TYT does not criticize Saudi Arabia. But this same guy will go around saying that Alex is responsible for what crazy people say to Sandy Hook families. Well, according to courts, not so much, not as much as you may think. He's not in prison, is he?
I'd be made about not being on crack. I mean, if I had $1 for each one of those speeches, I'd have $0. And I like how he says nobody on the left has high energy. Alex, I'm pretty sure you met me.
Shank, you do not have high energy unless you use. See how that works? Yeah, big smile on his face. Anyways, I'm not going to react to this whole 11-minute video because I got better things to do. But if you enjoyed, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. My name is Tyler Adolfo. I'm tired. I just woke up, but I love you all. And hope you all have a phenomenally excellent day. A great way to do that is by not watching the Young Turks or anything by Cenk Uygur ever in your life. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself, point blank, period.
Okay, that was quite something, and that's a euphemism on my part. A few things I want to address there. Number one, I realized I observed something that I think is a critically important detail, and that is this was filmed in March of 2022, that video we just watched about Alex Jones and TYT and Donald Trump Jr. Now, at this period of time, I had been on actually a medication recovering from mania for a little bit of time. I think I said in the video, what was it, March 13th that it was filmed. On February 23rd of 2022, I went on Abilify. I started Abilify. So at this point, even after being on Abilify for a while, I still had very incoherent thoughts, delusional patterns of thinking, and I seem quite notably lethargic and lacking energy. It's quite rich that I would talk about Cenk lacking energy, and I'm the epitome of that in that particular video. So I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts they'd like to share on that video that we just watched with TOIT and Alex Jones, my reaction while Manic. If not, I'll move on to the next video that I recorded while Manic, which is Logan Paul won both fights. So, oh, hey, Damien, nice to see you here. That was wild. Yeah. Were there any like particular parts that really made you, I mean, I turned my head so many times during that, but if there's any moments that really stood out to you, I mean, feel free to share. What else did I want to say here? Oh, about Bernie. So I can't remember what I said about Bernie, but it was something antagonistic. And oh no, I cast shade like towards Bernie bros or whatever. The funny thing is, I was a Bernie bro in 2020 before I became Manic. I knocked on 1,000 doors for Bernie in New Hampshire in 2020, and so it's quite rich that I would say something so antagonistic. Let's move on to Logan Paul won both fights. I am going to screen share again. This is a short one, so I'm not going to pause it at any point. I'm just going to let this 3-minute, 30-second video run through in its entirety. And there's one thing too, though. I want to check what the date of this is. Okay, so this is February 24, 2022. At this point, I had been on Abilify for 1 day. I had been on medication for 1 day. So let's see what impact, if any at all, or how my outlook was being 1 day on medication after being manic.
Hi, my name is Tyler. It's 10:31 at night, and for today's video, sorry, I need some water. I'm sorry. One more sip. Logan Paul won both the boxing matches. You know it. I know it. Everyone who says otherwise is a liar. Like y'all just got played. This isn't even water. This is coffee. Oh, it looks like water to you? Well, it's impossible because watch this. Now,
What?
this clearly isn't water because water is wet. Not wet is what I meant. Notice how the clothing go wet. Notice how my pant leg go wet. Water is not wet. Moving on. Boxing experts analyzed the Logan Paul fight and said that Logan Paul won. Not just the first fight, but especially the second fight. So why is it that only YouTube cancel culture will insist that KSI won the fights, that he's the people's champ? You're right, KSI is the people's champ. So much so that refs rigged it for KSI. Of what KSI would do, because they saw that he's clearly not even capable of beating Logan Paul in a fight.
Let's see if I could fix that. Can you still not the screen? Because I pulled my phone out and it's showing up on here. Oh, you do see it now. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why it wasn't initially, but it's showing up on mine. So it's showing up on yours now too. Okay. I don't know if I should rewind it. I'll rewind it to the part where I spilled the coffee on myself to prove that it wasn't water. That was kind of ridiculous, but
like y'all just got played. This isn't even water. This is coffee. Oh, it looks like water to you? Well, it's impossible because watch this. Now, this clearly isn't water because water is wet. Not wet is what I meant. Notice how the clothing go wet. Notice how my pant leg go wet. Water is not wet. Moving on. Boxing experts analyzed the Logan Paul fight and said that Logan Paul won. Not just the first fight, but especially the second fight. So why is it that only YouTube cancel culture will insist that KSI won the fights, that he's the people's champ? You're right, KSI is the people's champ. So much so that refs rigged it for KSI.
What?
Not out of fear of what KSI would do, because they saw that he's clearly not even capable of beating Logan Paul in a fight. Whereas Deji, Logan Paul would have another thing coming. But he wouldn't do that. He won't do that because he likes Deji and Deji's his friend. Whereas KSI just makes, platinum music albums that are just like blowing up everywhere. Just like the YouTube cancel culture best friends who are blowing up all of Ukraine right now. Oh, too soon? Too soon? I hope it's my fault that you do that. Give me a break. I literally have family in Ukraine. It's personal for me. So you can get over it. If I can laugh about it, and if my family in Ukraine who are laughing about it as Russian Nazis storm the streets of Ukraine and execute them, I think you can get over it too. Okay? I don't. I actually think about people's feelings. You clearly don't, which is why you continue to lie and say Logan Paul lost. No, he didn't. He won both of the fights. You know it. FaZe leadership knows it. And quite frankly, I think FaZe leadership might be scared to say it. Not scared of what will happen to them, but what will happen to cancel culture YouTube stans whom FaZe Clan cares about. Thank you. Don't subscribe. I don't like you. Or subscribe. Do what you want. I don't care. But if you leave a nice comment, I'll say something nice back and probably pin it.
Okay. Wow. I'm usually not one to say the Lord's name in vain, but Jesus Christ. Man, from the very beginning, spilling coffee on myself, that was bizarre. It was incredibly weird. And wow, so many distorted beliefs, very just delusional thinking. And I advanced the argument that water's not wet. Like, okay. And I mean, I know that was like a meme at the time, but I probably literally believed it. Now, I actually have seen both of the fights, so that's what makes this funny to me. And from my perspective, I think that the first fight was a tie, and it was ruled a tie, and I agree with that decision. I can't remember exactly which round was won by who, but I thought that 3 rounds were won by KSI, 3 rounds were won by Logan. And then the second fight, I think it was pretty one-sided. I mean, I think KSI clearly cleared that 1-1. But for some reason, while I was in that delusional manic state, I argued that Logan won both fights. And I literally believed it. And apparently I have family in Ukraine that I'm not aware of. I mean, there's a lot of things I believed at the time. I thought I was ultra wealthy. And all right, I'll just type in the comments down here now that video 1 complete, video 2 complete for people who are tuning in. So this next one, if anybody has any thoughts or impressions, I'd be happy to take a look. Let me pull up the dashboard and see if there's actually people here. Oh, wow. We've had 11 different people come in here so far at various points. That's pretty interesting. People actually want to see me react to crazy me. Okay. Video 3 on the roadmap. LeBron James is not a top 5 player. He's a top 10 teammate at best. 100 reasons why MJ is still the GOAT. Man, I really hope in this video that I actually don't list 100 reasons because that would take forever. But I made a promise I would go through all these videos. So, all right. I'm going to share screen again. And this time, let me close the Logan Paul one first. There we go. Share screen. Okay. Now I'm going to wait to see if this appears on your end first. I'm going to check on my phone real quick just to make sure that you guys can see it. Okay, it looks like it's showing up on my phone, so that means it is showing up on your end as well. 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Let's see when this was uploaded. This was February 17th, 2022. So I was still in the midst of the Manic episode, and I hadn't been put on medication yet. I didn't take my first med until February 23rd of 2022. And let's just read the description real quick, because I think that's interesting in itself to give some insight on what I was thinking at this time. NBA, which speaks on behalf of all 100% true NBA fans, all of the time is completely correct. Sports analysis experts and professional players and fans who love this game and respect all talent are the ones truly wrong. LeBron is not top 5. Michael Jordan is not top 5. Stephen Curry is not top 5. None of them could handle a Larry Bird situation. The true GOATs of the past era were Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, Pistol Pete, and Kareem. LeBron is not the true all-time scoring leader because 100% of his points were scored against worse competition and complete scrubs like Steph Curry or even worse. The best all-around player in history, Kevin Durant, who will only win 7 rings tops if he doesn't change his humble attitude. I have made more baskets than 100% of NBA Twitter. 100% of NBA Twitter cannot jump. Okay. Let's see. When should I stop this one? I'm not going to do like 20 stops over the course of the video. I'm going to let a few minutes play out and then let the last few minutes play out. So there'll be one intermission where my impression and reaction. But with that being said, let's go to the... We'll go to 4:20. We'll go to 4 minutes and 20 seconds, just as a coincidence, for no particular reason at all.
What's going on, everyone? Tyler, Adolfo here, your neighborhood Tracy McGrady on the block. Let's get straight to the point. Look at LeBron James is not a top 5 player. I said it. Shoot me. Michael Jordan, you and your Republican friends, please tell them that was a joke. Kind of like this notion that somehow LeBron has not surpassed you yet. Of course he has, but he's not top 5. He's not the GOAT. Paul Pierce is. And Jason Tatum is the new GOAT in town, who will win a lot more rings than LeBron, who, quite frankly, all of his rings are completely legit. You know, LeBron took an extremely talented Cavaliers team all the way to the NBA Finals. And you hater fans will literally lie and say that that Ohio team was bad or high school players. No. They made the NBA and achieved the dream of winning a championship. You probably never even won a high school game on your varsity team because you were too busy hating on Michael Jordan or laughing about the fact he didn't make JV. Jordan was the GOAT of his era, but he's not the GOAT anymore, not even close. He's stopping the GOAT the moment high school player LeBron James entered this league and carried it on his back from the moment he entered it and carried on that torch. You know, that's not to say that there weren't other GOATs along the way. Kobe Bryant, greatest player of all time, not even close. In terms of work ethic, people they always do this thing where they brush aside hard work and diminish it as only talent. Like, oh, Kobe Bryant was just so talented. And, no, it wasn't the thousands of hours of repetition he put outside. When all those other kids in the neighborhood who had, who were bigger, taller, more gifted, so forth, far more privileged, far more cuddled, far more everything. Way after they went in, he was still outside shooting his ball, perfecting his craft. Way after all the bullies in Indiana went home, Larry Bird was out there shooting thousands and thousands of times in the rain, in the snow, on the ice, and the storms, all the time. LeBron doesn't know what it's like
to work harder than them and cruise by only on natural talent. Like, LeBron's never worked hard for anything in his life. You had Kyrie win him a ring. You had Ray Allen, a Celtic, win him a ring. There's this trend you'll see where Celtics players under Celtics administration, whether it be Brad Stevens or Doc Rivers, literally hand LeBron his entire career. LeBron would be nothing without Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, the truth, took him to school in a close runaway 7-game back and forth slaughterhouse where LeBron just simply underperformed and couldn't get the job done under pressure. Just like when he got swept, when his Cavs played phenomenal, perfect team ball, whereas LeBron thought that he was the only one who should shoot. He would pass the ball and say that it's his teammates' fault that they missed a wide open jumper. No, it's not. It's because it's your fault that coaches would tell them to only pass it to you. It's your fault that these other teams would quadruple team you. So don't even try that whole, I feel like I'm the GOAT because I beat an extremely choke artist, overrated Goliath Golden State Warriors team, which are extremely soft and.
All right. Couple of things. The blatant contradictions that reappear over and over again over the course of this. In the description, I think I named like 5 different players who are the true GOAT. And then in this, at one point, I say Paul Pierce is the GOAT. And then another point, just a few minutes later, I say Kobe Bryant's the GOAT. So I just contradict myself repeatedly. It's like I don't remember what I said just a few minutes ago. And yeah, this was in February. This was around the time I had gotten expelled from college, around the time, a little bit after I had been arrested. Everyone had distanced themselves from me at this point in time. And it's your fault. It's your fault. No, I'm kidding, but Damien says, I watched this a lot of times and I genuinely couldn't tell how your ranking system worked. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to follow, isn't it, Damien? I'd have to agree. I'm not sure what criteria I use to arrive at the conclusion that those 5 players in the description are the true GOAT, or that no, it's actually Paul Pierce, or no, it's actually Kobe Bryant. And that the audacity to say LeBron's not a top 5 player, that Michael Jordan's not a top 5 player. Man, thankfully I wasn't invited on ESPN to give my perspective. Can you imagine me going on ESPN and arguing that LeBron's not a top 5 player? Stephen Smith doesn't know what he's talking. Stephen Smith doesn't know what he's talking about. Or man, all right, got a couple minutes left, and then I'll give my wrapping thoughts on this.
Curry is probably the most probably underrated 3-point sharpshooter in the world, but he's only that because of the fact that he's hard, and it's just disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Stephen Curry, just has mad respect for everybody, and it's that kind of weak softball fairy tale stuff that just I can't take it, man. LeBron thinks that because he could thrive in any environment that he's the GOAT. He knows he is. He genuinely believes that him being more accomplished, more talented, and more hardworking than Michael Jordan makes him the GOAT. It does. But he's not top 5. And that's just a mythology we have to do away with. He's not even close to top 5, which is exactly why I think he'll win many more rings before he retires, including this year. That's all. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know your thoughts. Facts only. We operate off data, facts, and stats here. None of that hater stuff. So as you know, your top 5, Jason Tatum, LeBron. Excuse me. Let me fix that. Active. Jason Tatum, LeBron. Jason Tatum, LeBron. Jason Tatum again. Kevin Durant. Kyrie. Swap LeBron with Jason Tatum again. I said what I said, and debate me live or cry in the comment section like a debate status. But dispute a single thing I've said. Everything I've said is facts. You know that it's all true. If you disagree, still have an excellent day.
That's nice.
And start listening to Stephen A. Smith and stop listening to Max Kellerman, who's overrated and is clearly way over his head, running off cliffs day in and day out. That's what Stephen A. Smith totally gets, is that Max is right. Tom Brady is off this cliff. Not just off this cliff, he's off this world down. Okay? And just throw it in there, Charles Barkley. Dude, you're not better than Shaq, man. You could have won 10 rings if you would have teamed with him. No, you had to make him an enemy. So that's, dude. Charles Barkley could enter the league today and win a ring. I'm serious. If he partnered with Pierce and Tracy McGrady and Jordan. Peace.
He's the GOAT, but he's not top 5. That is exactly right, Damien. And you just brought up what I was going to mention, but also at the end, I say, subscribe because I form my arguments based off facts and stats. And in that entire video, I don't recall me citing a single solitary stat. The title of the video is 100 Reasons Why. What was it? 100 Reasons. Let me see. Why MJ is still the GOAT. And I didn't provide one reason why. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And I just contradicted myself constantly in that video. Just goes to show that I was very incoherent, delusional, and even a little bit grandiose because I said such bold statements with a high degree of confidence. And, I mean, it is what it is. This happens. And that was video 3. So video 4, everybody, if you're just coming in, we're going to react to why I support building a wall around Florida. This one was probably recorded much earlier. Let me just make sure I have this set up right. Oh, this one has a description as well. And again, I want to preface this for those of you who are just tuning in. These are beliefs that I espoused while I was in a bipolar manic state with psychosis, and I don't adhere to the doctrines that I articulate in any of these videos. I'm doing this because I think people could draw some insight to get an idea of what it looks like for someone to be in a manic state. And I think just the fact that there's over 50 videos on my channel of me filming while manic is in itself a testament to the fact that there was something wrong. And I recorded them over a very short span of time. All right, I'm going to give this a few seconds just to make sure y'all can see what's going on. I want the screen to come up before let's see. Okay, let me check my phone, and it is up on my phone as well. We're going to start off with reading the description again. The description first. Look at me as the one like, oh, wow, this is an essay. Jeez. Let's see. It's got 24 views. That's embarrassing. It's probably going to get a lot more now. Triggered conservatives should Google and understand the meaning of sarcasm and parody prior to watching this obvious satirical piece. Educated, parentheses, brainwashed people in the comments. I don't think there were any comments. Don't tell them. Let's just watch and observe the power of propaganda in full effect. Ronald, don't monkey this up, DeSantis. Smoke weed, ? Lock them up. Woman's right to choose what to do with her body, lock her up. Pro-birth is not the same as pro-life. Supporting Planned Parenthood results in fewer abortions and saves lives. Reform the criminal justice system and apply Bill of Rights equally to all. F that. Whites only in this freedom state. Let's start a private military to handle natural disasters that's controlled by me and no one else. Ah, yes, because as we know, Old Boys Club Swamp at the GOP cares so much about helping fellow Americans during natural disasters. Let's throw paper towels at our Puerto Rican American neighbors. Ron writes email to Republican leadership begging them to see him as the new ambassador to Trump movement DeSantis. Ron would not be where he is today without Trump DeSantis. Big fan of Tucker. Putin isn't that bad of a guy, Carlson. Trump is right to question your loyalty and intentions, little guy. Donald Trump for governor of Florida? Not an endorsement, just asking questions. Trump does not hate the vaccine, but he does hate goofy, rating hungry clowns who play clips of him out of context, knowingly or unknowingly. He went on stage and got booed by his own supporters for saying he supports the vaccine. That's called consistency. But Donald believes in freedom of choice, which also results in more people getting their COVID shots, not less. He actually has the same position as Dr. Fauci, who everyone knows it not forcing people to get the vaccine, although there is strong legal precedent for him to do so. Dr. Fauci is an American patient and hero. It's not his fault that grown adults don't know what the scientific method is. Sad. Okay. Wow, that was quite the description. Hey, I'm wearing my fraternity hoodie in this. Let me just see if there's anyone here. Oh, Greg from Maryland. Hi, Tyler. Hey, Greg. Nice to see you here. Are you tuning in for the first time? We're just reacting to videos I had filmed while I was in a Manic episode. We've gone through 3 so far, and we're about to watch this one, Why I Support Building a Wall Around Florida. So this one's pretty long. So at the beginning of this live, I said that I wasn't going to do too many interruptions. Like, say, in a 10-minute video, I'll pause once to give my thoughts and then give my thoughts once more at the end. Since this is a longer video, I got to break this up into bigger or give a little more room for Trump, like chiming in. And so I'm trying to think, should I do like every 5 minutes? Would that be too frequent? If I do every 6 minutes, that might be a little bit too long, but then that would get me 3 chunks of commentary here. You know what? Let me see how much I talk about first and get an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's go 4 minutes. I'll pause it, briefly talk about what I think, and we'll go from that. This was okay. So December 12th, 2021, I started becoming one. I wouldn't start treatment for it until 2 months later on February 23rd of 2022. Let's get into it, fellas. I'm going to stop at 4 minutes. If you have any comments or questions, then I'll look at them.
Folks, when Florida sends their people, they're not sending their best. They're rapists. They condone pedophiles like Roy Moore. They're criminals. They're literally running people over in the streets, and they hate Jesus. They hate Jesus, folks. When they're sending their people, they're not sending their best. Some, I assume, are good people. Their leaders are stupid. And it's because of our stupid, incompetent leaders that it's the mess they're in. They hate America. They literally believe that researchers should be silent agreeing with them. That's not America. They literally reject science. They ban books in their public education system and say they have freedom. They're not enforcing the law. They're violating American law, and law doesn't care about your fragile feelings. But you literally have law being treated differently to some people based off the color of their skin. If you're white, you can run a crowd of uppity blacks who support Black Lives Matter for wanting equal treatment by the Bill of Rights. But if you are someone who disagrees with Ron DeSantis, this guy, he insults the intelligence of his own people, his stupid voters. And it's not their fault. We love stupid people. We love their stupid voters. We understand they don't read books. They see something on One America News and assume it's the Holy Gospel. They think that reading an article about the Mueller report is the same thing as reading the Mueller report. Brainwashed. They say that we're the ones who perpetuate George Orwell when they literally are taking the viewpoint 2 + 2 = 5. If my dear leader says so. You tell me who's waking up.
You know, Alex was right. We're in an info war, and it's currently being won by brainwashed, stupid idiots who have clearly not drinking enough fluoride. You know, I should have drinking more fluoride, by the way. My teeth would be in a much better place. But these stupid leaders in our country make it impossible to access services. They go out of their way, knowingly or unknowingly, to make it extremely difficult for people who come from poor zip codes to access these kind of services. Florida, they are very stupid people. Stupid people. But it's no. And the capitalist Democrats in Congress who have created the most powerful economy in a long time, lowest unemployment in 52 years, 6 million jobs in 10 months. The fact that there are hiring signs everywhere does not mean that people are at home freeloading. However, Southern racist poor white Republicans in Southern states sure are collecting unemployment and then going online and blaming black people for their problems and accusing them of being freeloaders. It's a crazy world we live in, folks. Up is down and left is right. But Florida, we need a wall. We need to build a wall. They're coming here and they're spreading their anti-American cultural ways. They're infecting this political discourse, threatening to take over government buildings and silence scientists and people who disagree with political federal DeSantis. Oh, yes. Was never seen an ass she doesn't want to kiss. Mwah. Oh, disagree with Trump on something? No. Ideas for fighting COVID? No. I'm just gonna say that scientists are liars, and yeah. I'm gonna deny people who made one mistake in their lives, being locked up for nonviolent drug crimes. I'm gonna take those people and say they never deserve the right to vote again because they made one mistake. Did I tell you I'm a God-fearing Christian?
Oh, okay. So my first impression watching this is I appear tired as hell. I don't know if anyone else got that impression, but I mean, my eyes look dilated. The sound of my voice seems very softened to compared to what it would usually be. And I mean, being tired would make sense given that during my manic episode, I was often awake for days at a time. And yeah, for some reason in this video, I'm doing a parody of Trump. I'm not sure why, like with the whole saying, like, you know, when Florida sends their people, they're not sending their best, and tying, you know, connecting it to when Trump said that about people from immigrants from Mexico. All right, I'm going to let my cat in real quick. I'll be right back. Oh, I forgot to stop. Oh, no. That's right. We're still finishing the video. My bad. All right, cat is back in here. Does anybody have any thoughts, or what is your reaction to seeing that? And I have a variation, a tone throughout the video thus far, and like, going to say, that's not America. All kinds of bizarre facial expressions. We'll continue on. This time we will go to the 11-minute mark. So I'll let it play through.
If I get whacked, by the way, it wasn't because of Hillary Clinton body count or Donald Trump crazy supporter. It was a Ronald DeSantis inside job. Just asking questions. Not a Ron DeSantis conspiracy theorist. I'm just a old boys club skeptic. I'm not going to say whether or not I got the vaccine or not because it's not your business. I'm a government official. Yeah. It's not like I take an obligation on Abraham's oligarch to, solemnly and sincerely promise and swear in the name of Abraham under God to serve and protect my constituents from enemies, domestic and foreign. COVID has killed millions of people. But dude, you realize that your chances of surviving COVID are really high, especially if you're young. I don't want to wear a mask, bro. By the way, if I see a 4-year-old child in a store, I'm going to scream at her and tell her parent that she's a sheep and a bitch for being brainwashed into believing science. Didn't you know that appeal to ethos based on the position they hold is a fallacy? Is a fallacy? Wow. Yeah, it actually works like this. Aristotle said the 3 methods of persuasion are ethos, pathos, logos. You're doing a whole lot of pathos. Be afraid. They're coming for your guns. They fucking hate America. Did I mention America's great? Make America great again. It currently sucks. Fuck you. Fuck the poor. Fuck the middle class. Fuck the rich. But the old boys club, top 1/10 to 1%. Oh, precious money. Precious money. Precious money. Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, when he endorses the pedophile. Yeah, we cool with that. Oh, all the sexual assault allegations. Oh, yeah, we cool with that. Oh, when he said that he'd like to F his own daughter. Yeah, we cool with that. We're God-fearing Christian culture conservatives. But we don't care about language, by the way. But Democrats sure do. They make everything about language. Oh, yeah, Democrats worked with Donald Trump on the First Step Act, true or false. Democrats were happy to hand him an infrastructure bill and have him sign it and take bold action on climate change and other issues in the economy, true or false. Inflation's really high, liberal. Let's figure it out. Yeah, there are Republican Nobel Prize-winning economists who are actual capitalists who also criticize Reagan as well for certain things that will tell you that he has nothing to do with rising gas prices. Books are your friend, not your enemy. Reading is good. God gave us books because he wants us to be smart forever and ever. Florida. We need to build a wall around Florida because we have major geopolitical threats. And we have Ron, racist DeSantis. I'm not saying he's a racist. I'm just asking questions. But we have to ask a question. Is Ron DeSantis a racist? Maybe, maybe not. Quite frankly, I mean, I know some people who say he's a really stupid guy. Was Ron DeSantis and his family connected to JFK? Maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying there may be some truth. Does Ted Zodiac Killer Cruz, who wants to patrol Muslim neighborhoods because, even George Bush, Ronald Reagan will tell you 99.9999% of Muslims are peaceful, more peaceful than Bible-thumping Christians who hate Jesus Christ and say, give me your money or you're going to hell. George Carlin was more Christian in principle than many of the Christians in this country. Barry Goldwater is considered not conservative enough for the Republican Party of today. Let me repeat. Barry fucking who voted against the fucking Civil Rights Act went out for this fucking conservative wacko job party today, who hates Jesus Christ, who hates your fucking gun rights, who hates your freedom and wants to lock you up for having an eighth of weed, who fucking hates you for being who you are. Jesus preached love thy neighbor, tolerance and acceptance, that we're all sinners, but that God will always forgive you. But yeah, let's keep slandering, let's slander people who actually walk in the light of God, whether they believe in God or not. Well, you keep believing in these little fairy mysteries and thinking you have it all figured out. And Tucker, whenever he has someone disagree with him, he can't have a logical argument. He whines and evades the topic. Kamala's a whore. Wah, wah. I'm so smart. Wah. I lost the debate to Jon Stewart, who's a comedian, years ago, and I'm still not over it. I wear bow ties. Wah. I was born into extreme wealth and never had to work hard for shit. Wah. Stupid little. Republicans also don't know what sarcasm is because they're extremely dumb. You saw this with Hillary Clinton when she appeared on the Zach Galifianakis show. It is a satire. It means they're not serious, like certain characters I'm playing. I'm literally mocking you. If you haven't figured out, Google what sarcasm is. And yes, when Cenk Uygur said at Politicon to idiot Ben Shapiro, mob mentality morons denying facts, and Cenk said, Google it. That is a logical response to morons who are making a rush to judgment and think they know everything, because I talk extremely fast Shapiro and I'm a walking, talking fallacy, does not know everything. Come on, give it a break. Ron DeSantis also hates Donald. Even Donald is like, wow, this guy's a little bit too much for me. I like it when people are polite about being prejudiced, but this guy, fucking racist. Wow. He's like me on steroids. Fuck that. I'm going to lose the election if I support this idiot. Ron DeSantis is gaining in popularity, and he's appealing to independents and Democrats. And Democrats should wake up and stop being so arrogant, holier than thou. Because this is the smart chump that people like Kyle Kulinski, Sam Cedar, David Packman, Benjamin Dixon, Anna Kasparian, TYT, everybody has warned about. He's coming for you. He's going to take your guns. I mean, dude, I support stronger gun control like Ronald Reagan, that communist gun-grabbing antichrist who hates the gays, allowed thousands of God-fearing Christians to die from a deadly preventable disease. And God bless that globalist Bush family who enacted policies on AIDS to try and make account for the past actions of Ronald Antichrist Reagan.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got in the comments here. Damien says, "You sound so sarcastic. It's hard for me to tell what you were really trying to say." Yeah, I can't tell what beliefs I'm trying to express. I genuinely can't. It's just so many contradictions. I'm all over the place, and this seems to be a theme, recurring theme throughout the videos. But you certainly are saying a lot. Yeah, and using a lot of interesting language as well. I mean, I've talked about everything from Aristotle. I brought up George Carlin and a myriad of other things. A lot of times I shook my head during that because I just can't believe that's how I conducted myself during that period of time. But I mean, mania makes you some incredibly interesting things. So how much longer? About 7 minutes. So yeah, I don't got much to say about that, except I'll say that when I came out of mania, I did a bunch of George Carlin reaction videos because it actually helped me cope with depression. So it's interesting that I bring up George Carlin here while I was in mania, because at a future period when I was not in mania and depressed, I binge watched George Carlin bits and reacted to them and really enjoyed doing it. And that's actually how I got my first 300 subscribers on this channel, was from George Carlin reaction videos. I have a whole playlist of 60 plus George Carlin reaction videos. So yeah, it made me think of that when I brought up George Carlin here. We're going to finish off the rest of this, and I'll check the comment section if you have any other thoughts. By then, check them out. But let's watch the rest of this, and then I'll wrap this.
But even so, even in that circumstance, what Bush tried to do on AIDS, even he was like, wow, this is ridiculous. This is this medical mafia is so corrupt. And now, the way they price gouged, what started off as a good idea. We used to be able to invent life-saving medications and have them become commodities, not even commodities. What's the terminology? Public good. The inventor of the polio vaccine gave it for free to the government because it wasn't about money to him. He wanted to save lives because polio was wreaking havoc on people, kind of like it's doing to the constituents in Florida who Ron DeSantis doesn't give a fuck about. But he supports your freedom, not your freedom to adjust your grievances. If you have skin and you're a little bit too uppity and you make a white person feel scared, they have the right to fucking kill you. If you're white and a KKK person points a gun at you and you defend yourself and exercise your natural right to self-defense, you're going to be called a thug. And irrelevant charges that have nothing to do with the issue at hand will be brought up. The fact that you smoked weed 10 years ago or allegedly punched a pregnant woman and were cleared will be brought up, even though the Constitution, the way our legal system works, that is irrelevant to a mob or a cop. Not all cops are bad, but the ones who think it's their duty to jury, executioner, and deny someone their God-given right to a fair trial. That ancient precept, innocent until proven guilty, fundamentally American, but people hate it. Let's just lock up Fauci because he lied to Congress. No, in order to lie, you have to have malicious intent. There are 4-year-old children that know what the scientific method is, grown adults in large numbers in this hellhole that is Florida, that is an absolute mess, that has a roaring economy because they deny science, and yeah, they're back to work. But that economy is built on a weak foundation, just like what Trump left behind for Joe Biden. And Trump is not to blame if the economy is under Biden, and neither is Biden to blame. If K-Mont Hitler, Vladimir Putin, or President Xi of China crashed the global economy by taking aggressive geopolitical actions, they alone are responsible for that. And it has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump, although Donald Trump sure did not help us by taking a rapidly growing, strong, booming economy under Barack Obama. Yes, had weaknesses. Many of the same I would assign to Trump as well. But he had honest intentions, at least. And, it didn't make things easier that for 6 of the 8 years, Republicans were trying to impeach him for saving the economy or wearing tan suit or running fear porn ads on Fox News for old white supposed God-fearing Christians only in title, who hate Jesus Christ, who thought that Barack Obama, who had a 40% approval rating, is the Antichrist, despite the empirical fact that the Bible says the Antichrist will be universally loved. But Ron DeSantis, he loves my freedom. The jobs numbers are lies. The jobs numbers when Trump was in office were true, and the deep state allowed those true job numbers to get out. But the job numbers now that he is not there, they're fake. But when he's back, they'll be real again. I'm so smart. I'm so smart. Tucker Carlson is not a good debater. And he wears bow ties. And I do not think Donald Trump is Hitler Democrats. He's too dumb. But he's also not as dumb as people make him out. She's a lot more intelligent than people make him out to be. And I don't have to realize how badly he is. It's unbelievable. That is not an endorsement of Donald Trump, by the way. Just to be clear, I hope you can make that distinction. DeSantis, though, is either knowingly or unknowingly the single stupidest person in the world. He ran a press conference the other day saying, we're expecting conflict from the Biden administration with our enforcement of the border policy. Biden has been extremely aggressive on the border in ways that he shouldn't. Ending programs to appeal to racist, not as intelligent. Your racist South white voter, typical one, is racist South whites tend to have lower IQs than the rest of other groups in the population, but it's not their fault. It's because they're brainwashed and have low literacy rates. Many of them don't even know how to read, but it's not their fault. From an evolutionary standpoint, people groups who experience historical trauma are likely on average to have higher IQs. However, even so, this is the point where it's both true that there are cultural biases in these tests. That's a reality. That's what the science is, which is why they're completely worthless. They're completely worthless. With the all they do is test the lived experiences you grew up around, and you're capable of changing your circumstances around you and systems around you, and that's why they're worthless. When you change your circumstances and have access to resources, you can easily score higher on that test without pressure, which is why it's worthless. It is literally a measure of how poor you are or how disadvantaged and privileged you are. That's literally what an IQ test measures, which is why some of the smartest people in the world, many of whom were not white, but even those who were, like Steve Hawking, say people who brag about IQ tests are fucking idiots. I could not agree more. But yeah, we know Steve Hawking was a globalist who believed in scientists and blah, blah, blah. Watch Alex Jones. That's where you'll get the real truth. By super male mentality and brain force. Oh, if Alex isn't speaking the truth, why did he get censored? Dude, his conspiracy wacko films played in theaters all across this country and were seen hundreds of millions of times online before they got removed. But please, cry me a river about how censored he was. And it's not the fault of these theaters that his stupid ideas were brought into the movie theaters. They have a corporate model. They're profit incentives because that's what a free market is. And it's in their interest to disseminate fair porn. Alex literally admitted in court that he's an actor and he doesn't believe the bullshit he says. But you guys are such morons that this guy's literally going around telling you that the rapture's coming. Give me your money. The rapture's coming. Brain force. He's so stupid. He is so stupid. Why do you hate Jesus, bro? Why do you hate Jesus? You need some Jewish black Jesus in your life. Do you believe in Jewish black Jesus, Ron DeSantis? I think that's what we need to do. We need to ask Ron DeSantis, does he believe in Jewish black Jesus? I want to know. What does he believe in the God of money, which George Carlin and Barry Goldwater warned of? Wow. Just asking questions. Wow. If something happens to me, it was a Ron DeSantis inside job, just like the Christmas tree, which Tucker Carlson knew about and burnt. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Please subscribe. Let me know if you have any ideas you're interested in. But yes, we need to build a wall around Florida, and quickly, folks, quickly, because our stupid leaders are selling out this country and they hate this country.
Wow, incredible. Throughout the entirety of that video, I was intensely, which doesn't surprise me. The two biggest characteristics of my mania were being extremely political and being extremely religious, more so than I normally would be. And throughout that, you could see that I was, it appeared to me like mocking people's logic, but I was also being sarcastic at times. And it's really tough to logically follow what I was saying. And the title of the video, the argument is why I support building a wall around Florida, but I'm talking about politics and culture and a variety of things. And I brought up George Carlin again. So the comment section, see what we got here. Oh, hey, Diane, welcome. If you get on for an hour, then I have the right times. It's incredible. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm doing all right. Right now, we're just reacting to videos that I had filmed while I was manic. Doing that because I want to see if other people will find it like as a good learning experience, find it beneficial, and trying to see what bipolar disorder mania looks like. I've done something similar in the past where I've reacted to videos on my channel, but this time I'm doing 10 of them live, and many of these are ones I haven't ever seen since I filmed them. And so, yeah, I'm doing okay as far as the medication. I'll take a quick break from the reacting to the videos. Let me put that these videos are, which ones are complete. Okay, so we're through 4 of the 10 that I was going to go through today. Complete. But yeah, how I'm feeling now, I'm not sure if anyone here who caught my last stream knows that I went 2 weeks in a row without having 2 of my medications, Vraylar and Lexapro. My Vraylar just got refilled the other day, finally. So I'm on that again. And I got a text message today saying that Lexapro has been refilled, but I haven't had the chance to go to the pharmacy. And this is where I'm struggling and where I'm kind of not okay. I'm ambivalent about whether I should go back on Lexapro. I mean, the way that I feel right now is like I feel disrespected. I feel like my case has been handled in a very incompetent way. The fact that I had to go 2 weeks without 2 medications that I've come to rely on, that my central command center is dependent on in order for me to be stable and sane, it's unacceptable. It's inexcusable. And I can't wait for my psychiatry appointment. I haven't decided yet how I want to pose the question because, I mean, I'm a pretty polite guy. I'm not a confrontational guy. I don't want to cause unnecessary harm, but I do need to be an advocate for myself at the same time. And going 2 weeks without a medication is unacceptable. And so on Monday, I'm going to call my psychiatry office again, and I'm going to get their opinion on, should I go back on it? I've been off it for 2 weeks already. Do I really need to go back on it? And I am not going to go back on it until I get an explanation for why it took 2 weeks to refill it, because it's unacceptable and it's dangerous. Very dangerous to be doing that. And I actually have done some impulsive things lately. For anyone here who's listening, for example, I sent an email to the chancellor of my former university, the school that expelled me, requesting to be reinstated to my former university. And I sent that message impulsively. I forwarded the email to like 10 different departments at the university. So I'm not sure what reaction, if any at all, I'll get for that, but it's an action I wouldn't have taken, I feel like, if I wasn't cold turkey off 2 medications for 2 weeks. So I feel like I've been a lot better at picking my battles lately and being able to allocate my time in a way that's more rational. So with that being said, The next video we're going to be reacting to, this is a pretty another long one, 17 minutes, 34 seconds. Video 5, Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel than arrogant, holier-than-thou chicken cock conservatives. For anyone just joining, I'm just reacting to videos I filmed while in a manic state. The purpose of doing this is to hopefully educate and inform others on what mania can manifest as, what it can look like. It manifests differently in different people, but this is how it manifested in myself. And so I'm just trying to spread information, help people learn about this condition that I have. But yeah, if at any point anyone has any thoughts, feel free to share them in the comments and I will address them. All right, before I share my screen, there's something I gotta check. All right, y'all. Damien says, I'd go back on it, but you need to find out who delayed you getting your medication. Yeah, I agree. There needs to be an explanation for why that happened. Absolutely. I'm not really leaning in any direction right now as far as should I go back on it or not. We're still going to reflect it on it more, but I definitely respect your perspective and I totally get it because I went cold turkey off of medication previously in my life. I went off Zoloft after my sophomore year of high school and it was disastrous, had a myriad of consequences, led to me dropping out of high school. And I don't want any calamities like that taking place again. So we're going to the next video here. I'll close out the previous tab. Just going to wait a minute so that you can see the screen. I'll give it a minute. It hasn't appeared on my phone yet, so once it does, we can get started. All right, I think it's showing up now. Okay. Is there a description? There is a description. 4 years ago. Oh my. This was uploaded on December 10th, 2021, and the description says, compassionate capitalist Bernie Sanders exposed as massive hypocrite. He criticized the same inequality and power structures his entire life. When he was poor and criticized income inequality and generational poverty, it's because he was petty and jealous. Now that he has achieved the American dream and established success of his own, his exact same criticisms of income inequality and power structures, he's a hypocrite who should give away all his money. Tune in next time in the Fox News Ministry of Truth, where you'll get the real truth. Interesting. So again, this was about 2 months into my manic episode. It began in October. I was not on any medications at this time. I had been hospitalized once because I was hospitalized in late October into early November. But I wasn't put on any medications when I was released, so I was still manic. And this was filmed from my home as well. 17 minutes and 34. So for the breakdown of this, I'm going to, I'll play the first 5 minutes and then I'll give my perspective on what I think those first 5 minutes, and then I'll continue it, and we'll decide what time we're stopping then. But yeah, let's get right into it.
Time to talk about America's dad, most handsome man in the world, Bernard Sanders, who may or may not be our next president. Probably not, because he gets mad as a communist, even though he's a capitalist who owns multiple homes. And he just wants everyone to have an equal opportunity to achieve some success of sorts. And he would be very centrist. I don't like those labels to begin with, because they're very divisive in themselves, and they prevent us from finding common ground where necessary. Bernie Sanders gets so slanted. Like, we want to talk about someone who has more integrity. I mean, this guy literally marched in the civil rights movement, was in the March on Washington. His entire life, he's been consistent. He tells it like it is. There's clips of him on public access TV in the 80s telling like 7-year-old children that they're stupid for not believing in climate change. He's been warning about the existential crises of nuclear Armageddon and climate change his entire life, but because he talks really loud and hurts people's feelings for disagreeing with them, he's the devil in the flesh. And of course, the right will just caricature him. They've been doing that for years. They did it to Hillary Clinton, who would have been in president. They did it to Obama, who they called a Muslim and said he wasn't born here. But let's not get too far away. I want to talk about Bernie Sanders, and specifically the argument I want to make today is that Bernie Sanders cares more about really people than goofy, know-it-all, arrogant Republican think tanks engaging in the free market, better place of ideas, but won't debate progressives for some reason, like the smart ones. I'm not saying the other ones who debate you aren't smart. I'm just saying, like, in the sense of they always want it in like a mob mentality setting, like at Politicon, where people like booed Cenk Uygur. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I still can't pronounce it. The TYT guy in progressive media, he debated Ben Shapiro, and in terms of argument, won on like almost every issue. And like at the time, I was more libertarian. I was like one of those Rand Paul kind of guys. There's too many regulations on toilets. Rand Paul's someone I still like a lot. There's a lot of areas I would work with him on, but shifted from Rand Paul to Bernie Sanders, and people are like, "Wow, how'd you do that? That's such a contradiction." No, it's actually really not. They agree about the same problem. They just have different solutions. And by and large, Bernie Sanders has way better solutions. That's all. Capitalist Bernie Sanders, who owns multiple properties. Okay, here's the point. Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel. Resolved. Here's my argument. You correctly make the viewpoint that Israel has a right to defend itself and that Israel has a right to exist. Good. That is his plan. There are areas where I believe Bernie Sanders could do better in policy, but no disclosure. And he's someone who would have the humility. If I told him this, he would change his mind, because he does not hold petty grudges over people disagreeing with them. He literally lost every race. He was like the first 20 races he did in his life, he lost horribly because he would not compromise on his values. There's a difference between compromise in the sense of find common ground without compromising our values. That's something Bob Dole did his whole career. That's something that Mitt Romney just did by signing the infrastructure bill correctly. I'd like the same one, but a lot less money, because, fiscal conservatives resisted the bill every step of the way. Pelosi and Schumer put the same bill on their desk, and they're just like, "Oh, we don't like it." The Democrats will get credit too. Bernie's never cared about credit. He literally gives legislation to Republicans and says, "Sign this, because if I do it, they're going to call it a communist bill." Like, Bernie Sanders cares more about the Israelis in terms of policy, in terms of what his policies would do. And this is where it gets twisted. Dude, first of all, the fact that Bernie Sanders is Jewish should have no argument whatsoever. He's ethnically Jewish. That does not mean he has any connection to whatsoever. But he's someone who's very empathetic, and he can sympathize with the Palestinian people because he had family members who were killed in the Holocaust. And he can sympathize with the way that Israel leadership has some very unethical policies, and two wrongs don't make a right. It's just that Martin Luther King proverb of darkness can't drive darkness, only light can do that. Now, where the left goes wrong is they say, like, so when Bernie Sanders says, I believe Israel has a right to exist, but that the Palestinians should be treated with dignity and respect, they slander him and they'll say, oh, he's two-siding it. Well, yeah, because he cares about the people on both sides. Like,
Okay. So for anybody just joining in, the video of me, Manic, that I'm currently reacting to is Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel than arrogant, holier than thou, chicken cuck conservatives. We've gone through a litany of videos thus far where I'm generally incredibly incoherent, out of touch with reality, incapable of making my mind and adhering to a specific doctrine. Let's see, Damien, this didn't age well because of the subject matter, but you sound more coherent in this weirdly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm ambivalent about what I think watching these, kind of, because there's like certain moments where I feel like I'll say something that makes sense, but that doesn't mean the rest of what I'm saying makes sense. And so, for example, like in the last one, I correctly mentioned that there's 3 methods of persuasion: ethos, logos, pathos, according to Aristotle. Like, I mean, that's true. I know that's true. So like, I'll say things from time to time that I concur with even now unstable, but hard pressed to find things that I agree with. And I totally agree that things didn't particularly age well. A lot of my guesses were totally off the chart. I don't have it in this lineup of videos I react to, but there's another one where I say that the Celtics will win the NBA Finals in 2022 versus the Warriors. And I'm like so overly confident and dismissive of people who disagree with me. Yeah, the timeline of this is pretty interesting too, because it comes from December, I think. Yeah, December 10th. December 10th. All right, so this one, I think I'm just going to let the rest of this one play out for time's sake, and I will jot down any notes or thoughts I have. That way I can remember what I want to say, and I'll share my thoughts after, and if anybody else has any insights they want to share, then that would be fantastic. But with that being said, let's get right back into it.
it's not your fault. And by and large, young progressives would be better elected officials than a lot of these angry, know-it-all, arrogant white dinosaurs who've been in office for 80 years. Republican will miss the forest for the trees and say, "Oh, actually, libtard." Dude, I'm a progressive. I literally call myself a progressive Republican. However, I am a registered Democrat right now because I know that the best Republican presidents, all of whom were progressive, would be Democrats right now. Conservative communist, excuse me, communist, fascist, Nazi-killing, anti-military industrial complex, Dwight Eisenhower, who was a Republican and a president, but he was a progressive who believed in governing, and he made mistakes too. All presidents do. I really like how he sent in the National Guard to defend Black students seeking public education from angry white KKK mobs. Like, yeah, but that's the argument. It's like Bernie Sanders has policies that will actually help Israel and Palestine. At a future period, there's absolutely ways that we can ensure that that region is safe. People who have this catastrophic mindset of there can never be peace in the Middle East are just fundamentally wrong and ignorant of the history. And that's a conversation for another time. But we have to understand models were created, like past incidences where there was peace in regions of the Middle East. Why did those models emerge? Why did those models collapse? On the latter point, it's because of Western and Eastern influence, not because of the inevitability of Muslims, Jews, and Christians hating each other. It's absurd. But right, Bernie Sanders correctly voted to
invade Afghanistan because we had to go after the people who attacked us on 9/11, and make sure they don't do it again. He correctly pointed out the flaws of the drone system, and like that's what our intelligence says, is that like for every one terrorist you kill, if you kill a bunch of innocents, it creates 100 more. So if you kill one innocent person, you create 100 more terrorists. And when you think about it logically, it's all about perspective. And the perspective of us, people overseas, anyone who hates us is a terrorist. Walk around in someone else's shoes. It's all about mindset. Now, two wrongs never make a right. Anyone who takes up arms against an innocent person is wrong. Osama bin Laden was wrong for attacking innocent people on 9/11, but he did not attack us because we're rich and have freedom, as Rudy Giuliani would so clearly articulate. I don't like using the word articulate with him. He doesn't articulate a whole lot of logic very often. And I think, I know he's just not a good person. And it's not radical to say that. He's genuinely not a good person. And anyone who's like super close with him, there's a reason why lots of Republicans and even like Trumpists, they don't get too close to him. Trump does for political reasons and, other, but nobody actually likes him. He's a jackass. So yeah, understanding why our enemies attack us. Ron Paul got booed on the debate stage for saying that. Bernie Sanders, there's things I would disagree with on him. I disagree with the statement that, Henry Kissinger is a war criminal. He did not take policy actions he did with malicious intent. And there's a lot of gray area to foreign policy, as you know. And I'm not accusing Bernie of being political at all. He genuinely believes everything he believes, and he would be a phenomenal president. With respect to the Iraq situation, I guess I'm like trying to talk about peace in the Middle East in general at this point. I'm not even talking about Israel specifically. I know it straight away. But when Biden correctly withdrew, but could there have been ways for us to make the evacuation better? Absolutely. I think that Trump should not have allowed the Kurds to get slaughtered. His intelligence told him not to do that. Democrats and Republicans like Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul said, do not let the Kurds get slaughtered. Establishment politicians like Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney and these far right and guys who do know a lot about foreign policy, but have some bad ideas, not all of them, said like, dude, don't let the Kurds get slaughtered. Like they're key. That we would topple a secular Saddam Hussein, which our intelligence warned Bush about. Like, it's not a good idea. Like we can't prove that. If there wasn't so much Islamophobia, what Joe Biden could have done is he could have used the powers of the bully pulpit to say, let's welcome in these refugees whose country has been destroyed because of our actions. These are people who are very hardworking. They've gone through so much trauma. They love America. They want freedom. And they would be amazing Americans. And even Ronald Reagan supported having some form of immigration plan. He just never got it done. The fact that someone's Muslim doesn't mean they would be that's the problem. Even Bush came out and said 99.9% of Muslims are peaceful. And he's right in saying that. It's actually even higher. Like our extremists are very few. And anyone can be radicalized to do extreme things. We see this in our country where radicalized white people and shoot up schools. And it's predominantly white men who shoot up communities of people regardless of what they look like. That's why there was a congresswoman, her name's eluding me at the moment, who literally gets shot at a game. I think a mall. There's a shooting where Rand Paul was on a field. Rand Paul could have gotten killed. Extremism affects everybody, but this notion, this Islamophobia being perpetuated is so dangerous. Like, first of all, Ilhan Omar is far more patriotic and loves this country way more than the people on corporatism television, Fox News, who go out of their way to slander her. Just because she disagrees with you on the course this country should take, just because she believes that Nazis should not be walking around our Lincoln Memorial, just because she supports healthcare as a human right, which Republicans, claim to talk about, but they never got it done. Now Romney has a lot of the same goals. Is he a terrorist? Oh, he probably is, because he voted to impeach Donald Trump for inciting supporters to storm the Capitol. Right. Mitt Romney's an irredeemable now, and that's where the left needs to understand too. Even Mitt Romney, stop with the word establishment. Call it what it is. Call it the old boys club, the old women's club, whatever you want to call it. Because yes, women and men can all be corrupt. Jewish, Muslim people, anyone can. That's the point. Anybody. It's the premise of the founders, is that all power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And people knowingly or unknowingly make mistakes, or when they knowingly do it, it's not a mistake, it's deliberate. But the point I'm making is Bernie Sanders is not a communist, dude. Stop. Literally stop. Oh, he doesn't support gun rights because he agrees with Ronald Reagan, God-fearing cultural conservative Ronald Reagan, who was the best president white America has ever had. Nothing for non-white people, who turned a blind eye and deaf ear to the AIDS epidemic, which wiped out everyone, including God-fearing Christians who adored Reagan. Sound familiar? He supported stronger gun control. You can support gun rights for law-abiding citizens and also say that we have an epidemic that no other country has. And just think of this logic. Obama had a Democrat-controlled Congress for the first 2 years, and he didn't do it. It's not because he bad intent. It's because it was a mistake. People make mistakes. Nazis to have him. He just doesn't want racists to have. Dude, you people don't think. Oh my God. You focus on the language. Beto. But when his own community gets shot up, you can understand why he would have the emotion and why he would say that. He supports gun rights. And yes, it's from Nazis and white extremists. As should you. Because these people kill everyone. They kill Christians. They kill Muslims. They kill Jews. They kill people who support rights. They kill people who support Israel. There was a Jewish man who was beat in liberal New York City, in capital center of the world, New York City, beat by people for anti-Semitism, because people can't make that separation between what ethnically Jewish is, culturally Jewish is, and religiously Jewish is. Like, it's... But Bernie Sanders, are you kidding me? He's held himself to account to everyone all the time. He's not afraid of anyone. He does not cherry pick which news stations he goes on. And neither does Hillary Clinton. And neither does Obama. You seriously think that Obama was afraid of Bill? You need to watch those interviews back, bro. Obama clowned on him the entire time. I don't even want to hear it, bro. I want to hear it. Like, oh, why does Obama duck rally tonight? Highest rated program by inciting hatred toward Muslim people and everyone else. And I'm like, bro, the interview he did with him was a scorching. If you care about facts and argument, some people may say from a performance standpoint, oh, Riley was more manly and loud. Like, oh, you don't think Benghazi, the Hillary Clinton shouldn't be disqualified for Benghazi? Are you serious? Wah, wah, wah. Obama responded with cogent arguments. And yes, because he's black, a lot of people in his and Riley's audience were like, oh, that black man got schooled. Got him, fellas. No, you didn't. Any scholar, people who read books, who you would call are brainwashed, knows Obama won that argument. Every one of them. And Bernie, Obama, Clinton, they have a lot more common than you think. Even Donald Trump, to some extent, he's just someone who the "I alone can fix it" mentality is what set him up to fail. Thinking everyone is out to get him mentality is what set him up to fail, and that's his own problem. I don't think he should ever be president again. If he was, I'd work with him on areas of common ground. I don't think he should be president. He's done awful, very racist policies. But his inability to have empathy for people who don't look like him is just unbelievable. And maybe I'm wrong on that, and I would apologize if you could prove evidence that is for peace in the Middle East. The fact that a blue bird flew on him at a rally, that's not an accident, folks. Not an accident, folks. Fox News is going to clip this and say I'm crazy. They're going to cut it right there. They're not going to include this, but I'm clearly joking. But the universe is trying to tell us something. Bernie Sanders for world peace. Did Donald Trump have a blue bird flying him at a rally? Nope. Did Hillary Clinton, who does not eat babies, have a blue bird flying at a rally? No. And yes, Hillary Clinton should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Fox News is going to clip that. They're going to edit it and say I said something I didn't, like they do to everyone on the left. It's okay. It's not your fault, people who watch Fox News. Some of you are smart. Most of you aren't, and it's not your fault. But yo, Bernie Sanders for world peace. Yes, sir.
You know, this was a lot more draining than I thought that it would be. I took a few notes here from that one towards the last part of it that I watched, and I wrote down the phrase where I said arrogant white dinosaurs, just because I think the diversity of language that I used in itself was pretty interesting. It gives an indication of what my thought patterns were like at the time. One big thing that sticks out a lot to me as someone who's competed in public speaking, who has a passion for public speaking, is my continuous use of credibility downers. Credibility downers are, it's when you say, like, I I say in this video repeatedly, and it wouldn't surprise me if I did in the other videos that we've reacted to too. It's really standing out to me in this. That in itself, maybe it's a weird thing to, it's bothering me how much I said it. The amount of times I said because I take great pride in being a well-spoken person, and I try to the greatest extent possible, not ever say that word. Like I'll incorporate a 5-second pause rather than say or ah. That's my preference. Sometimes I'll still slip it in there, but it is what it is. At one point, I brought up Ron Paul, the former Republican congressman, ran for president in 2008 and 2012. And there was a moment at one debate where, this is actually a true thing I said in the video. I talked about how he got booed. And the Republican crowd booed Ron Paul for saying that we should follow God's golden rule, which is an interesting thing for people who claim to be adherent believers in God and Christ to boo, to say, we should treat others the way we want to be treated. Boo, you suck. You're a jerk. It was a weird moment for him to be booed. And I concede that I was quite the Ron Paul supporter back then. I religiously watched a lot of his debates from 2008, 2012. And I absolutely had a great deal of respect for him. And I don't agree with him on a lot of policies today, but I still have tremendous respect for him as someone who has a lot of integrity, and he's very intellectually consistent. And in particular, I like his anti-war beliefs a lot. So there was a point where I was trying to remember the congresswoman who got shot in the head, and I do know the answer to that now. It's Gabby Giffords, I believe. And it seems like I overvalue what people thought of my opinions and viewpoints in that video. This is the last note that I wrote for this. I said at least twice, Fox News is going to clip that. Dude, you're a nobody. The video has like almost no views. You almost have no. What do you mean Fox News is going to clip that? They don't even know who you are. Like, I said Hillary Clinton's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Fox News is going to clip that. And I said it with a straight face. That's what's so funny to me. All right, so that's another note to the side of the table. So video 5 is complete. Man, we're only halfway through this. Interesting. Both my drinks are out. I do have an iced coffee in the freezer that I want to get. Well, all my drinks are out, pretty much. I'm going to get my iced coffee from the freezer. Hopefully it's not like a solid block of ice by now. And when I come back, might take a little bit of a break from reacting, but I'm going to finish them tonight. So I'll be right back, y'all. Oh, you left a comment. My bad. Damien said that's impressive. Oh, I think you were referring to the credibility downers. Yeah. Yeah, it's something that my health teacher, Mr. Nassus, in high school tried to instill in all of us. Lots of people didn't take him seriously. Most people didn't. I'm someone who took him seriously and agreed with him that credibility downers are an ineffective way of communication. And by not using them, you're distinguishing yourself from 99% of the population. Yeah, it was easier for me to follow what you were saying throughout. But you still said some wild shit randomly at times. Yeah, absolutely. Totally concur. All right, I'll be right back. I'm just grabbing a nice coffee. Hello, everybody. I am back. Iced coffee in hand. We are ready to continue and roll on. Let's see. I believe that was video 5. Yeah, video 5. So the next video on deck, videos that I filmed and uploaded to YouTube while Manic. I'm reacting to 10 of them in this live stream. Currently on video 6 now. And this one is outright darling Tulsi wasn't censored from the 2020 Democratic debates, but she should have been. All right. Let me screen share. I'm going to wait a minute or two just to make sure that this actually pops up. Once it does, I'll read the description. This is a short one. And it looks like this was uploaded filmed and uploaded the same date as the Bernie Sanders one. All right, I'm just checking my phone to make sure the screen can be seen. My phone's actually giving me problems right now, a little frustrating. Okay, it's showing up now. I can proceed. This one is 15-21 seconds, just a few minutes short than the last one we looked at. I'm going to go to the 5-minute mark, pause, share my thoughts, finish the video, and then give my final closing thoughts. Let's go.
Well, here is the video. I know that Tulsi Gabbard shouldn't have been allowed on stage because her ideas are really bad and really dumb. And it just wasn't fair to other candidates who actually had supporters that she was given a microphone, but they were not. Let me make my argument. Number one, there's a senator in particular that I really like and have a lot of respect for, who is no longer with us today. His name is Mike Gravel. Now, this is not the reason why Tulsi shouldn't have been censored for the debates. That's separate. That's because Tulsi's ideas are stupid, and because she has no supporters. But it's not her fault. Mike Gravel released papers into the official record. He was a freak of a senator. He understood the exit crises of climate change and nuclear Armageddon and the importance of disarmament decades before other politicians were raising the alarms about this. And to be fair, there were others too. So Gravel is a Democrat, but like he's like very similar to Bernie in that like in a developed nation, he would be very center. Tulsi, whether knowingly or unknowingly, is not left. She's anything but that. She's what I would call fascist Nazi appeasement right. And it's important we don't get that mixed up. Let me make it better. Fascist Nazi appeasing, outright McCarthyism. Anyone who disagrees with me is a communist and scientists should be put on trial outright. That's the brand that Tulsi represents. Whether she's doing it knowingly or unknowingly is irrelevant. That's what she represents. I think that Mike Gravel would have been way better on that debate stage than Tulsi. And if given an opportunity to be on media more and get more representation, he would have had way more supporters among all the electorate and qualified for the polling requirements. And it's not the media's fault. It's not media's fault. Stop saying the media. It's not media's fault that he wasn't allowed on. It's just he wasn't really part of politics for a while, and that's his own, like, I don't blame him. Why would you want to be a part of it? He has a great debate moment where he's on the debate stage, Joe Biden, Clinton, Obama, all these other candidates. And he goes, he says something like, I don't got here when he got elected to the Senate. I don't know how I got here. And then I spent 6 months and I'm like, damn, how the hell did the rest of these idiots get here? Watch Mike Gravel's debate highlights. It's so funny. And he actually has ideas that are like smart and based off argument, not what Tulsi does, reciting memorized scripts that make no sense. For example, when she was a question about the gender pay wage gap, which is real. It is objectively real. Private free market companies do internal investigation because they know it's real and they fix it. It has nothing to do with a government left-wing conspiracy. But Tulsi, in response to a question about the gender wage gap, talks about regime change war in Iraq. That is called reciting a memorized script. She's no different than Marco Rubio in that regard. And in that sense, I think it's very unfair to Marco Rubio, where I would disagree with a lot. Marco Rubio does have a lot of good ideas as a reformer. He supports very, very progressive ideas that he gets slandered for by the Republican Party for having the audacity to meet with the Gang of Eight and talk about reforming immigration and stop treating people like trash. He gets slandered terribly. Democrats would say he didn't care. That's ridiculous. He literally comes from the ground of like immigrants in this country. Just because he has different ideas than you doesn't mean he's a bad person. Marco Rubio's been an excellent public servant. And just because he has a different opinion than you on Cuba, he's someone who has like personal lived experience that are like shaped that cause him to have that. Even if you think he's wrong, he doesn't have malicious intent and he's not a warmonger. And that's where you're idiots. He cares a lot about this country. He's a patriot who loves this country. Tulsi Gabbard is a moron. I stand by that statement. It's not her fault. I hope it's not her fault and that she's not doing this. It is a true statement to say that the Iraq war, the regime change war, was a mistake. You cannot then go on the flip side and then say any conflict that happens overseas is the fault of the United States. It's our fault. It's our fault. When you say stuff like that, you have to back it up. It is not our fault that China has concentration camps, Tulsi. And I know there's never been a day in your life where you didn't want to go on television and kiss the ass of modern day Hitler, like actual Hitler. Trump's not Hitler. He's too dumb to be Hitler, but he's also not the idiot everyone makes him out to be. Story after story. China's not that bad. China's not that bad. No, they're authoritarian. And that doesn't mean we should go in and that war should always be a last resort. That is true. That's called learning the lessons of history. But for you to say, to ignore the lessons of history, World War II, true or false, Hitler went into country after country, country after country. And, oh, it's not our business. It's not our business. That's what this idiot is probably going to do when Russia invades Ukraine. If they do, let's hope they don't. Biden's doing everything he can to avoid that, and he's learning the lessons of history. I don't completely agree with the response that he had with respect to how he told media things he is and isn't do. I don't agree with that. But it's not my business, dude. I'm in college. I don't know everything. There's stuff he knows that I don't. And he's not a communist. He's more capitalist than you. Just throw it in there and hurt your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. Tulsi.
Yo. Wow, wild. For anybody just joining, in this stream, I'm reacting to 10 videos that I filmed and had uploaded to YouTube while I was in a full-blown bipolar manic episode. I was experiencing a lot of irrational thoughts at the time, even delusions of grandiosity, and my thought pattern, I was very incoherent, and I think these videos demonstrate a lot of the symptoms of mania. A couple notes on the first 5 minutes of this video that I took. Just give my perspective on a few things. As far as like, I mentioned distribution of time to political candidates. And I generally am of the belief that, so suppose you have, a few candidates. One, the leader is polling at 30%, and the worst candidate, the lowest supported one, is polling at 3%, right? The higher polling candidate should obviously absolutely be on the stage. I feel like the first few debates of a political election cycle, maybe like the first two at minimum, the lower polling candidates should be allowed just, to give them a chance to actually get their message across. I don't think people should be chosen based off name recognition alone. And if you had a system where, candidates who poll less than 5% were all excluded, right off the bat, then no names would have no chance. But I think there's an issue when you have, candidates that are polling at 3% having equal amount of time in these debates as, say, a person polling at 15%, right? 5 times the amount of polling support, but someone who's supported by 3% of people is getting like an absurd amount of time relative to what their actual support is. But I don't know. So that's kind of what my thoughts are on that, in case anybody's curious. Those are my thoughts on it as a stable person. That's probably the point I was trying to drive home there while I was manic, but I did a very poor job of doing so. I think that debate time should be equitable, and I don't think it really is in this country at the moment. I did bring up Mike Gravel, which is very interesting. I remember in the 2020 cycle, there was a movement to draft Mike Gravel for president. And so he launched a campaign for president. He was very old at the time. And the goal wasn't actually to get him elected. It was to get him on the debate stage so that he could confront mainstream establishment Democrats and challenge some of their positions. Mike Gravel was progressive and very ahead of his time for his beliefs. He was kind of like, Bernie Sanders before Bernie Sanders existed. And if you look back at Mike Gravel's debate highlights, I believe from 2008, and he may have ran earlier than that too. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But he's like so confrontational, but he does it in a way where he's very cogent in his arguments as well. And he did have that super funny moment where he says, when I first got to the Senate, I couldn't believe I was there. And after spending 6 months there, I was like, wow, I can't believe the rest of these people are here. He was a strong opponent of the war in Iraq, which of course was based on lies. So yeah, he's a guy of integrity, and I have a lot of respect for him, which even showed while I was manic, apparently. I don't think I come across as crazy in this video as I did in some of the videos that I posted that we looked at in like February, where there was no logic behind any of my thoughts. And then one last point, I brought up like the gender wage gap moment. There was a debate, and a lot of politicians do this. It's not unique or exclusive to Tulsi. Extremely humorous moment, at least to me. And Tulsi is asked a question by a moderator about the gender wage gap and what she would do to it. And Tulsi responds entirely talking about regime change wars. That is an example of a politician writing a script. I have very little respect for politicians who aren't capable of talking with nuance about important issues, who are only able to cleave to one or two talking points and they just regurgitate them on stage. A lot of politicians do that. And it's so obvious when they do. And after hearing me say this, next time you watch political candidates debate, like pay attention to that and you'll see exactly what I mean. Once you know about it, you can't unnotice it. But yeah, as far as my state of mind, I don't think I'm coming across like as incoherent as I was in some of the earlier videos that we looked at and talked about. Not that I agree with everything I'm saying, but I did want to share some of the things that I did actually agree with. So not everything I said while Manic was something that I opposed, but 90% of it was. All right, so I'll play the rest of this and finish off this video. Oh, wow, we're 2 hours into this, and there's still 4 more videos to react to after this one. This might be the longest stream I've ever done by far. That's okay.
You are right that regime change wars are bad. Overthrowing seculars is bad. Overthrowing progressives is bad. When your boy Donald Trump let the Kurds get slaughtered, who would have supported Israel, supported America, supported civil and progressive, and tolerated all people and accepted people for who they are, let them get slaughtered was bad. When the people you shake hands with spread Islamophobia, and they completely cast blame on Joe Biden for the botched response of Iraq. Are there things he could have done better? Absolutely. I would make that argument, absolutely, regardless of what I don't know. I know he could have done things better. There are Christians who got slaughtered. Joe Biden, Trump, and Obama are George Bush's decision to invade Iraq. George Bush did not have bad intention, but he made a big, fat, beautiful mistake, as our eloquent president who hates reading would say. A big fat. It was the beauty. It doesn't mean he was a bad person and he did it deliberately. Democrats know he was not behind 9/11. The dude can't make a bowl of cereal. Like, give me a break. Tulsi, you don't know what you're talking about. You seriously don't know what you're talking about, or you do, and you're purposefully being a moron. You do the same thing. You literally go around saying that Biden makes hiring decisions based off their skin color. You're wrong. Just because he has a cabinet that's not entirely white, it doesn't mean he's not hiring qualified people. And you're a disgusting human being for making that suggestion and for shaking hands with people who go out of their way to call our vice president a token black. Like, you got a lot of nerve. The people you make friends with don't care about you. They're literally using you. And there's nothing progressive about you trying to paint China as the victim. The US has done bad things in its history. That does not mean China is a good power player whatsoever. At all. Martin Luther King's advice, and you dare weaponize what his message was that darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. We have literal Nazis holding Nazi flags at our Lincoln Memorial, chanting death to Jews, who believe blacks are less than people. Anyone who's not white is not a person. Those people love you. They love you. And I don't believe in guilt by association, but the fact that you make a bigger deal about, oh, Biden, it's his fault if Russia invades Ukraine. It's Putin's fault if he invades Ukraine. The Russian people don't war. The American people don't want war. But Putin wants to be a power player, and that's a reality. Are there things we could do better to prevent outbreak? Well, sure. But for you to say that his intentions to imply and insinuate his intentions to start a war, you're horrible. You're an awful candidate. And I noticed how this started, and I think it was wrong of people on the left to say you're wrong for going on Fox News. Hillary Clinton understands the importance of going on Fox News to articulate the message to reach all Americans. If you're a president, which Kamala and Joe Biden have done an excellent job of doing.
There are even conspiracy wacko jobs who think that Kamala wasn't born here or that Joe Biden is being elderly abused. Like, you guys are idiots. You're actual idiots. And it's not your fault because Fox News doctors clips of Joe Biden making it look like he's sleeping. And then when Trump supporters are confronted at rallies about this, they play woeful ignorance and just say that it's fake. You guys are the ones living in Orwell. 2 + 2 = 5 if my dear leader says so. And what you're advancing, be very careful because you might just get what you wish for. They'll come after you, Tulsi, because you're not white. You're not. You're not. And I'm not saying, so go ahead, take what I say out of context, blow it up, like Trump did all over the Middle East. Embassy after embassy was attacked. He didn't raise an eyebrow about embassy. More attacked under Republican presidents than Democrats. But you guys want to do a witch hunt hearing against Hillary Clinton, who, and this is where Rand correct thing. He starts off saying, and I don't question your intention, you're a puppet. I believe you were negligent. And in my view, I believe your negligence on this occasion makes you disqualified from being commander-in-chief. I disagree with that statement. I don't think it disqualifies her. Embassies get attacked all the time. He's playing politics, clearly. He might actually generally believe that. But the fact he started off saying, Secretary Clinton, I don't question your intentions, says to me that he's not as big of a wacko job as people say, but he plays politics. You know what I mean? Everybody does. But when a Republican plays politics, or let me put it, when a male plays politics, it's because they're smart and doing the right thing. But when Warren plays politics, it's because they're nasty and evil. And, I've straight up had Christians on the right. Like, I don't hate women. I've also had those same women on the right say, I don't think a woman should be president because women are too emotional. Literally. Clinton would be tougher on a lot of our adversaries than these other people in a way that does not just launch war. If you seriously think she just wants to start a war, and you're like, no. Did we or did we not have peace under the Clintons? Did they have policies? I was like, sure, that's irrelevant. You need to stop with the but whataboutism. Like, you did this the entire election. Tulsi, COVID is real. Like, people died. We're not going to talk about the fact that I caught it twice and it's real. The millions of people who have died from this, regardless of their skin color or where they live, including in Russia, where they pull out a bogus vaccine right away. Putin literally sees himself as like Peter the Great. Like, there's nothing great about him. His people are suffering. But if you seriously think that there's not going to be consequences invade Ukraine if they do, that's where you're wrong. And you're a disgusting, unpatriotic American. I don't care if you served who then committed treason. I appreciate you for your service to this country. That does not give you the right to shake hands with Nazis or people who are elevating their platform as if they know what they're doing. I believe that everything that happened on the news is fake. That news, the job of which is to hold power accountable, is in on the conspiracy with every world leader and scientists trying to save lives to do something. What are you trying to imply? Be more specific. Spit it out. Come on, spit it out. What are you trying to say, Tulsi? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Why didn't you run for re-election? Because you would have gotten clobbered. And your character is awful and despicable, and you are a deplorable human being. And it's not the fault that the people who support you are being brainwashed and duped. Get a grip. And humility is a good thing. Changing course after you make a mistake, saying, hey, you know what? I thought this was a good idea, but it's not. And let's change our mind. Let's try something else. That's called humility. It's called leadership. You're wrong. Let's see you do that. Biden's apologized for plenty of things. Trump will never directly apologize, but he's changed course on things he's done and things he's done. Like, that's called humility. Although Democrats will never give him credit for that. Rand Paul has changed his mind. It's called humility. Kamala Harris has changed her mind. It's called humility. You've never apologized for a single thing in your life. And if I'm mistaken, I'll say I was wrong. And my bad. Apologize. Apologize for knowingly or unknowingly embedding adversaries. It's so nasty a person. So yes, I believe that polling criteria should apply equally to all candidates. I don't believe someone who polls at less than 2% should be on the 8th debate stage. Republicans will miss the forest for the trees and say, oh, well, technically she was actually only on 60. If you've been on television, national television twice, and you're still polling lower than 2, you don't belong on the stage because your ideas suck. And Twitter and frog people who have frog icons on their freaking thing do not represent the majority of the population, as we found out when Biden whooped Trump's ass by 8 million votes. No, and there was no deep state. The same dude, he literally beat the Clinton machine in 2016, the most powerful political dynasty ever, not because of corruption and malinfluence, but because of networking and because they earned it after being in politics for all these years, and because people know that they did a great job on the economy. You think everything's a conspiracy theory, you'll take facts and then mix them with a bunch of lies and then make connections where there are none to be made. And it's not your fault. And I still love you, not you, Tulsi. Until you apologize, I don't like you. You're a bad person. You're literally a bad person. the people who support you are not bad people. Are very smart. They just have misinformation, radicalization. The power of it, propaganda is very powerful, and it's not their fault. About them, I know their hearts are in the right place. War should always be a last resort. There's things that Biden, I think he could be doing better, and but I'm not there. I'm not in the back room hearing what he knows, so I can't just intent. That's not what you do. God bless everyone. Have a wonderful Christmas. If you celebrate, if you don't, whatever you do or don't celebrate, try to be loving. Try to stop operating on fear. And Republicans realize that "Let's go, Brandon," and is not a policy. That Joe Biden is sleepy is not a policy. That clips of our Black Secretary of Defense and trying to imply that he is stupid when he is a foreign policy genius, one of the smartest in the Pacific region, if not the smartest. That kind of race baiting is disgusting. Like, actually disgusting. You are not news. You are corporatist state television. Republicans will miss the forest for the trees and say, "Oh, well, you think Fox is state television?" Actually, for the corporatists. Keep crying. Facts don't care about your feelings. You stole that from Ben Shapiro. Books are your friends, not your enemy. Everyone have a blessed day. Love you.
I said a couple of books are your friends, not your enemy. And I am an avid reader, but to my recollection, I don't believe that I was reading life at that particular moment in time. I don't got much to add. I've already kind of shared the thoughts I wanted to share on that. But if anybody has any questions, like to comment something themselves, then by all means, feel free to do so. But now that we've wrapped that video up, we got another one on deck. The next Manic video that I'll be to was called "Woke Freedom-Loving Know-It-Alls Don't Know What the Scientific Method Is." That should be interesting. But let me just type in that video. 6 complete. Man, oh man. Excuse me. I do have conflicting thoughts about doing content like this. Something I've been asked before by quite a few people is the content I make about bipolar disorder in general. They'll pose the question, are you ever afraid? Do you ever posting such deeply personal experiences online? And the reason I'm thinking of that now is because one here is sharing parts from my past, a traumatic period of my past that are deeply personal. And at the moment, operating under the mindset with the goal of spreading information about bipolar disorder and to educate and inform people about the gravity of this illness. And, that's my intention for the present moment, but nothing's immutable. Everything's subject to change. And at a future period, I might look back on this and say, you know what, I'm going to private this because I'm embarrassed about this live. And I'm ashamed of a lot of the things that I had said. And yeah, that's all I wanted to add to that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the stress of being a mental health content creator. I mean, it's stressful being a content creator no matter what, but with mental health being such a taboo topic, a controversial topic at times, you gotta tread extra carefully is all. So I'll stop the screen for that. All right, let's see. Damien says, I think that video aged well. Tulsi switched parties, then disappeared or something. Yeah, I would say Tulsi, she's definitely no Ron Paul, that's for sure, right? And what I mean by that is Ron Paul was so intellectually consistent. There's not a single moment in his career you could look to and see a difference from another moment of his career because his beliefs remain consistent. There was the continuity of ideology over time. You didn't see that with Tulsi, though. She's totally switched, and her beliefs are totally antithetical to what she believed just a few years ago. And it's interesting and also, in my view, tragic to see. And it's very cringeworthy as well. It's no surprise she didn't run for re-election. She would have gotten absolutely slaughtered. I stand by that statement that I made in the video. I gotta let my cat out. I'll be right back. Welcome, anybody joining in. I'm reacting to videos that I filmed while manic. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to ask. If you have any comments you'd like to make at any point, feel free. I just want to say before I start this next video and screen share, the views that I express are often not beliefs that I hold today. The viewpoints that I espouse are not reflective of how I actually think and view the world. These views were articulated at a time when I was in a bipolar manic episode, experiencing irrational thoughts, negative thought patterns, and I just didn't have the ability to be cogent. You'll see that if you're just joining me now. You'll see that. All right, share screen. I'm going to give it a minute just to make sure that it pops up on your end. Very taboo topic, I know. Generally, people tread carefully when talking about manic experiences. Certainly one of the last things that they'll do is post videos from when they were manic on the internet for people to see. But I want to educate and inform to the greatest extent possible, and that's my intention here. I'm just checking my phone. I want to make sure you can see the screen on your end. Sometimes it's a black screen. Actually pull up the screen that I'm sharing. Okay, I believe it is. If it's not, let me know. And we got a comment. I'll read that before I go into the next one. Damien says, people should understand that the same way some people get hyper-religiosity, people also become hyper-political during mania. Yes, they absolutely do. And those are the two behaviors that best characterized my manic episode, are becoming hyper-political and hyper-religious. So yeah, right on, man. Is there a description? Yeah, there's a short one here. So this was posted December 9th, 2021. Media. Good news on Omicron. Outright media, be afraid. Not sure why the screen didn't record. The file didn't save, but I got stuff to do, so enjoy, LOL. Thanks for stopping by. Smash that like button harder than the old boys club of this country have done to we the people. And eviscerate the subscribe button more than Karl Rove has his reputation. Okay. It's a little bit random, but let's see what this is about. I haven't watched this ever, so I filmed it well. I've never watched this till now. I'm going to play this to the 7-minute mark, pause, give some of my initial thoughts, and then play the rest of the video and give my final thoughts.
Good morning, America. We have a very urgent report coming for you today. Apparently, there is an additional contagious disease going around called ignorance. And a very wise man by the name of Webb Du Bois once said that something to the effect, America will destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy America. It turns out there is rampant, widespread inability to comprehend what the scientific method is, an inability to engage one point of contention at a time, inability to recognize that certain statements are not mutually exclusive. There is a widespread epidemic of individuals not having skills that 5-year-old children do, that logic that 5-year-old children are capable of understanding, that grown adults in large numbers apparently. It's not their fault. Let's look into it a little bit. We got great news on the Omicron variant. let's hear this particular report from CNBC television, which is, of course, Capital Corporatist News, but it's news and it's the job of news to report reality. So let's see what the reality is, and then
Good morning, Becky. So Pfizer and BioNTech have done their own preliminary lab studies looking at how vaccines could work against the Omicron variant, putting out the first data this morning, saying essentially that 3 doses, so a booster shot of their vaccine against Omicron, to provide the same level of neutralizing antibodies as 2 doses against the older strain. And so what they're suggesting here is that a booster dose.
So let's talk about what specifically was said right here. So what scientists do is they do these things called make observations based on the information they have at the time. They do not lie, but they adapt based on new information that comes forward. And there's this process called like the peer review process where the information is looked at. And these are people who spend years and years and years like learning about this idea of like making observations about the world around you and like synthesizing past information and data and like facts in order to make hypotheses, which are not guaranteed blanket statements of truth. Like there's a reason why we still call evolution a theory, even though people who do their due diligence would make a very cogent argument. Like the preponderance of the evidence is so high, it's not a theory. Like evolution is real, but we have to still call it a theory because even though the preponderance of the evidence is 99.99%, we can't 100% prove it. It's not a law. It's a theory until but evolution is real, like at the same time, right? So what they're saying is this Omicron variant, it's appearing to the booster shot that Pfizer has produced, and they have produced 2 highly effective vaccines. Peer-reviewed research done by other scientists, every scientist in the world, like the entire scientific community. So this isn't like a, apples and oranges of, well, like some disagree. No, Christian pastors saying that we're living in Armageddon aren't scientists. And yeah, people telling you to drink bleach are not scientists. And some people say like, oh, you say scientific method, we're just asking questions. I do that too. That's why I get a healthy media diet and I don't just get it from One America News. That's why I don't just watch Fox, which has been exposed multiple times, editing clips of Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. And then when people go to Trump rallies and show them how the clips were doctored, they say, oh, that's fake. Like every scientist in the world is just in on this massive conspiracy to save lives, including those who are so ignorant that they think they have the right to tell a private business that they can enter their store. You cannot force a private business to allow someone ignorant of science. There's this thing in a society called social contract. But let's see what's said. So 3 doses neutral in preliminary lab studies. So like we're doing the research. Booster dose antibody levels similar to 2 doses old strain. 2 doses may still protect against severe disease. Great. Like that's what we want. We know COVID is real. It's killed millions of people. I've caught in it twice. I've had people who believe it wasn't real and they had good intentions and they're not alive right now. They weren't crisis actors. I know who they are. Whenever one of these pastors die after spreading lies of COVID, their supporters then go and say, oh, it must have been silence. Like the cognitive dissonance is so strong. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. We'll literally try to help you. It's not your fault you've been lied to, but you've been lied to. But let's look at some of what's being said. So this is Omicron variant. Great. That's what we want. Like viruses mutate when morons don't get their vaccines, unfortunately. That's something we've known for a long time. There are dozens of other vaccines already mandated. Mock. I don't want anybody retaliating and going against people. It's okay. People have their reasons and arguments, but this got 2.3 thousand likes. Call me crazy, but would it make more sense to make an independent body testing and assessing the validity of the booster? Right. That's going to happen. Instead of the guys who said this goes into ethics. That would be highly illegal if they were to manipulate it in the form that you allege. Does not happen. There is corrupt elements in every institution. That is not an indictment against the entire institution. That is pothole fallacy in Pfizer from the very beginning. There's not been any shred of evidence whatsoever suggesting that they are doing any kind of unethical conduct. That's why repeatedly peer-reviewed research from thousands of scientists who are Nobel Prize winners, highly accomplished, recognized by the World Organization, Center for Disease Control, patriotic Americans who are ordinary like you and me and who want to save lives because this is real and kills people, which is exactly why Donald Trump said to his supporters to get the shot at a rally, and they booed him. He's gotten the shot. Tucker Bowtie Carlson has got a shot. They may not say so on television, and they'll like duck and dodge and not address actual arguments. That's their own prerogative. It's political posturing, if you ask me. But for purposes of appearance, let's just say that they support your freedom of choice to get a vaccine, but don't support your freedom of choice to defend your right to life if you're black. Let's go to Desmond. Crazy how the booster shot perfectly defends against a variant that wasn't a thing when it was made, but the first 2 doses aren't effective. Let's address that. The latter statement is entirely false. Complete fabrication, false. The 2 first doses are super effective.
All right. Thoughts on this so far? I mean, it's amusing to me how topic to topic, video to video, without fail, I speak with a degree of confidence that is so extraordinarily high, you would think that I'm some kind of expert on the various issues I've talked about, whether it be culture, philosophy, politics, and now evidently science. The grandiosity is definitely there. It was definitely prevalent. I will say there was a quote in the beginning that I actually liked, and it was based off the UMass library and who it's named after. So the UMass Amherst Library, Webb Du Bois Library, it's named after an individual named Webb Du Bois. And he said a very powerful quote, and it's full of wisdom. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If not, that's okay, but I'll share mine. America will destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy America. Strong believer in that. It makes me think back to the fact that throughout history, ignorance has been a serious danger to civilized society. It reminds me of something George Carlin said in one of his performances, where he said, "Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers." I believe that combating ignorance is one of the best things we could do, combating the common existence of low propensity voters, which is just the polite way of saying low information voters, people who might get all their information from whatever they see on their Facebook feed or by word of mouth. I mean, I literally have cousins, family members who will very confidently assert a political opinion. And then when I ask them extremely basic questions like, who's the vice president? They break down and they don't know. Like, you're expressing support for this various things, but you don't even know who the Speaker of the House is or who the vice president is. Like, are you serious? Or you can't connect the dots and articulate which policy caused which thing. What was the catalyst for X or Y? Which policy was the catalyst for X or Y? It's very common. Lots of people who are conclusion jumpers, they make assumptions, and cognitive dissonance is very real. People often routinely reject attempts by others to get them to switch their positions, even when confronted with overwhelming amounts of. So the first 7 minutes of this video, another thing I wanted to say is I gave like a very insulting explanation of the scientific method. I don't know why I'm insulting the people who viewed this video. That's kind of weird, but I'm like talking to them as if they're 5-year-old children and saying, like, scientists do this thing called make observations. And I came across insulting in my view. I mean, I was manic, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. See if we got any comments. Damien says, I think the last one was, that's a fantastic quote, really relevant. Yeah, totally agree. For the people who just joined in, the quote we're referring to that's very powerful and full of wisdom, it's by Webb Du Bois. America will destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy America. Damien also says, that's my favorite thing to ask is who the vice president is, LMAO. People don't know. They really don't. I wonder if there's any actual studies on that, like samples where they ask, I don't know, 1,000 random people who's the vice president and then give a percentage breakdown on, I would like to see what answers they would say and if they could correctly guess who the vice president is. But yeah, I don't exactly have a detailed solution to the problem of widespread ignorance, unfortunately. I've encountered it since I was a little kid. I mean, since I was 10 years old, I had more political knowledge. I followed politics more closely than everybody in my family at age 10. And I remember back then them dismissing everything I said and say, oh, you're not old enough to talk about politics. And the people who say that are people who can't even tell you who the vice president is or who the Speaker of the House is and what the, a certain amendment of the Constitution is. Like, people are very confident in their ignorance. It's very unfortunate. So I'm going to finish up the rest of this video, and I'll give any final thoughts if I have any at all. I'm going to keep my thoughts, try to deliver them more concisely going forward, just because I want to get through the rest of these. There's still 3 more videos after this, and I might even skip parts of the next few videos just for the sake of brevity and time. I don't want to take too much time. I appreciate everybody being here. Being said, let's continue the rest of this video.
Super effective. That's why like 99% of the people are people who haven't gotten it because they think that the natural antibodies are good. And natural antibodies are a thing. Doesn't mean you're going to be protected from this virus. Having natural antibodies with the additional antibodies provided by vaccination, something that every founding father supported, and facts don't care about your feelings, increases the probability of you not contracting COVID. It decreases the odds of you contracting. It does not guarantee, but it severely decreases it. Like, I caught COVID after getting the vaccine. I also caught it before vaccines were out. When I caught it before vaccines were out, I was sick and almost died. When I caught it after getting the vaccine, my symptoms were much lower, but they were still very, very, very hard for me. And that's probably because like I have asthma. That definitely played a role. But either way, if I didn't have the vaccine a second time, I know I would have died. So I'm grateful that I got it. And that scientists are willing to put up with this kind of nonsense. Crazy how the booster shot for everybody does get. I'm glad that you're starting to see reality. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. It was not made. I'm not even gonna say it's not made. What we say at the moment is, what do we know? What can we prove based off the data we know now? What can we like say? We can't say anything definitively because that's how science is. That's just what science is. 8th grade elementary students understand that, but there's an epidemic of growing large number of adults who watch YouTube videos with spooky music in the background who claim to care about them, tell them to send them money or they go into hell. But you tell me who the false prophet is. The rapture's coming, by the way. Give me your money. Why are we asking a company if we need their product? Without a doubt, they will say yes every time. So that's where you're also wrong. This is Market America producing phenomenal vaccine, and they're providing them largely free of charge. And that doesn't mean we can't make other criticisms of our medical industry areas of improvement that like Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders would all agree on, that there's price gouging. Kamala Harris just got in action the other day. I know you keep asking where she is and what she's doing. It's because she lives rent free in your head, and she doesn't care what the goofy 1% loud bells on YouTube who watch conspiracy wacko fucking videos to say. Well, the reason we're asking Love Lily is because millions of people have died. And it is a deadly preventable disease that we have vaccines for. And people don't need to go in stores and yell at 4-year-old children calling their mother's sheep for putting a mask on their child so their child doesn't fucking die. Not everyone shares your batshit crazy view of an alternate fact universe. Sorry, Love Lily. You're right, because they're scientists and want to save lives. And that's how free market should work, is that we should offer incentives to produce medications that save lives. The inventor of the polio vaccine donated it as like a public work so that everyone could get it. And Republican Dwight Eisenhower forced people to get it. And batshit crazy conservatives don't say a thing about that because it doesn't fit this narrative of a global coming conspiracy. Totally ridiculous.
wow, they're getting real quick and efficient with these field tests, aren't they? It's almost as if like when this pandemic first happened, like we didn't have the infrastructure in place, probably because we had somebody who was repeatedly sentence science and saying that like this was a hoax perpetuated by the Chinese. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that half the were harassing Chinese Americans who have nothing to do with the alleged actions of the Chinese government. Gee golly, I wonder what that's about. I'm not accusing you of being supportive of any side because there's ignorance on all sides. Pretty bold statement considering it's supposedly been around a few weeks. What do you mean supposedly? We have 100,000 new COVID cases a day. Oh, let me guess, the data is not true. So when COVID cases were positive under Trump, it was real. But when the data under Biden is here, it's a lie fabricated by the deep state. Like, you hear how goofy you sound? Look, the election was rigged, but Donald Trump beat the powerful Clinton machine. Do you hear how stupid you sound? Like, do you even think Warpath 375? You got a fucking like video character, and I love video games. I know video games aren't the fucking source of gun male violence. Fucking Republicans, like Japan plays so much video games, and they're way better than us at it because they're not fucking idiots who like gobble down sugary food and fucking. Which is there deliberately, like that's another story, but unreal. Gidri Laguli. I'm not gonna read these fucking long ass paragraph ones. A company would never lie about the effectiveness of their product. Of course they would. But the fact that some companies have done that is not evidence that companies in the present are currently doing it. You have to do it on a case by case basis. That's called innocent until proven guilty. You're making a very bold claim there. If your Pfizer is doing something unethical, the burden is on you to prove that claim. You have nothing here that does it. I mean, it's not like they have a financial incentive to do that or anything. Of course they do. They have a financial incentive to save lives. Yes, that's why we went to them. There's a reason why we hired Pfizer instead of right-wing articles that the efficacy of possibly drinking bleach. Okay, understand that? And no, it's not appeal to authority fallacy. It's called at a healthy news media diet, not just One American News or Fox Television, which said Obama, who had a 40% approval rating, is the fucking anti for wearing a tan suit. What critical thinking is, what George Carlin rightly said we need more of, and what the people in power don't want, because the South, which says the North is erasing history, because we don't want statues of people who are on record as saying blacks are not people. And we're erasing history, even though they're the ones who banned books. They're the ones with low literacy rates. And it's not their fault because they have this lost cause, us versus them mentality. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. Hillary Clinton wants to give you health care. So doesn't Donald Trump. But when he has those people in the circle of the old boys club, they change his ways. It's not a matter. I'm not making claims as to whether or not he's right or not. But I'm just saying, like, he had a lot of progressive stances. A lot. And I'm not saying you're a supporter of him. I'm just saying, like, this observation-wise, a lot of the sentiment has been built by him. He was the commander-in-chief. So, yeah, it's unbelievable. Pro DeSantis will lock you up for years, regardless of your skin color, for being caught with an eighth of weed. But tell me how much this fucking guy loves freedom, because this guy wants to privatize Social Security, which has a 95% approval rating and is a socialist program. You can have socialist programs and still be capitalist. Oh my. Oh, what was me? Oh my God. I don't know what the scientific method is. Oh dear. Oh dear. I don't know, man. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. This world's coming to.
Okay. A couple more final notes on that one. Okay, stop screen sharing. And let me just check if I'm okay. Yes, I'm back. Okay. It's interesting how I'm casting judgment on people who purportedly watch, wacko conspiracy videos, I believe I said, when during this time period I was watching conspiracy videos, and later on, the degree to which I would watch them would actually increase. The frequency with which I watched them increased. And here I am, acting like I'm some sort of expert on every topic and reading and responding to these comments. These people have no idea that I was arguing with comments that they made on a news video, which is pretty interesting. Oh, man. And this is so much more draining than I thought it would be. The next video is 8 minutes and 32 seconds. I know I said that for the next few videos, I would skip throughout. But since this one is much shorter than the other ones, for this one, I think I'll just watch the entirety of it and then give my thoughts on it. The videos that we have left to react to, the titles, are Capitalist New York passes tyrannical optional vaccine mandate to save lives, breaking news. Christian cultural conservatives are not pro-life. And then deport libertarians to the moon. For those final two, I'll do a lot of skipping to expedite finishing the videos, because I don't want this stream to run too long. I'm hoping that people will find this, the video recording of this, the replay of this, and actually get some insight out of it into what it looks like to see someone suffering from bipolar disorder mania. All right, let me screen share and we'll get right into the next one. All right, it looks like we do have a description as well. I'm going to wait until I see on my phone that you can see my screen. Okay, it looks like we're in business. Published for December 8th, 2021. I said in the description, online videos with spooky music in the background is where you'll find the real truth. I had to have been being sarcastic there, right? Like, surely. Or mocking or deriding someone. For just 5 easy payments of 1776, the year that the U.S. was founded, go figure. For just 5 easy payments of 1776 will commence again if you give me the liberty to choose to wear a mask or not wear a mask. Throw in a super meal Brain Force totally free of charge. Brain Force is like an Alex Jones product. And join the fight against free market capitalism. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this whole description is sarcasm. Apparently, I was very sarcastic while I was manic. Before I start, Damien says, thanks for being on stream so long today, putting in work. Yeah, thank you, Damien. You're making it a lot easier. I appreciate you being here. Looks like we've kind of had like 3 stable viewers throughout. The other ones have been quiet, but that's okay. I appreciate you engaging, and people who watch the replay of this. There are a few people on my channel who actually do watch the replays and comment on it. They could see the comments that are made during the stream, so they could actually follow the conversation we're having, which is pretty cool. And then spooky music. Yeah. What was it that I said? Online videos with spooky music in the background is where you'll find the real truth. Whatever. God knows what I meant by that. So play. I actually like that dress shirt, by the way. Purple dress shirt. I might still have it, but there's no way it still fits me, right? No.
I just want to say, mad respect for New York. Mad respect for New York. This is like about some policies you have in New York City, the center of Mecca of capitalism and freedom and liberty for all people, and it's been historically and still is to this day. Even though half of America who thinks that climate change is a hoax perpetuated by the Chinese think that vaccines are dangerous. Look at.
All right, I'm actually going to increase the speed a little bit. And if it's too distracting or annoying, I'll change it back. But just for time's sake, I'm not putting it up like a significant amount, but I feel like 120 should be reasonable.
I'm a Republican. I'm a progressive Republican. The key word there is progressive. If you don't understand the difference between those two terms, it's not your fault. You're a patriotic American who has different viewpoints than me, and that's okay. I don't want you to leave this country. You're my fellow American. So here's what New York did, which I think is really good, and what they did. Let's start off with what they did. There is no forcing people to get a vaccine in their arm. There is none. Private businesses have that freedom and liberty as a private business to say, I don't want people who live in an alternate where alternative facts are the supreme being. Scientists to live in a world where I can feel safe in my store, because that's what a true free market is. So what New York did not do is force people to get it. People from working from home don't have to get it. But yes, it's the job of government to protect the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness of all people. There's this thing from the Enlightenment called the social contract, where
You have a certain city. You have responsibilities because freedom is not free. COVID is real. I've caught it twice. I've lost friends who thought it was fake. I've had family get sick who've almost passed because they thought it was. It's real, and it has killed disproportionate amounts of more Americans than any other developed country in the world. Nobody's forcing you to get a vaccine. Nobody's forcing you, but you do not have the liberty to go in someone's private property and infect their customers because you watched an Alex Jones video online. Sorry, sweetheart. You are welcome to have a Confederate sticker on your 94 pickup truck. Great trucks, by the way. Highly recommend it. But no, Karen, please stop yelling at your elderly neighbor for getting a vaccine, telling her that she and her kids are sheep. No, they believe in scientists and they live in reality. The vast majority of Americans have gotten the vaccine. Those of you who haven't still deserve to have your voices be heard. No one will force you to do anything. But what New York did is this Omicron variant, which we're still learning more about, because you see viruses, they mutate when certain parts of the population don't get it. We know that. That's science. Scientists never lied, but there's this thing called scientific method where you make observations and form hypotheses based on what you know, and they're constantly changing based on new emerging information. 4-year-olds in my church understand that. Some grown adults in large numbers who watch videos online with spooky music in the background do not. And that's okay. It's not your fault. Your opinions matter. No one's going to force you to get a vaccine. I would go against anyone who would force you to do so. I believe we can increase vaccinates by being empathetic with people and not assuming our fellow Americans have bad intentions. But yo, mad respect for New York. I see what you're doing. Mad respect. True. I'm not going to say what we need. I'm going to defer to experts and scientists. We never had a true 2-week control the spread to begin with, because Mikes and Karens across this country thought their liberty was under assault for following the social contract. They'll cite founding father quotes out of context. Any founding father alive today would force them to get a vaccine and would not give them that choice, whereas Joe Biden, a God-fearing Christian man who would never get the mark of the beast. The Bible says that you won't be able to buy or sell. You can still buy or sell, but not at any private businesses who are taking that correct position of protecting their employees. You're not a bad person based on who you support or for becoming victim to propaganda. It's not your fault. We love you and we care about you and we want you to get your shots because we don't want you to die, as millions of people already have. They say history repeats itself. This is a perfect example. Don't be violent to people. Don't force your beliefs on others. Don't insult your fellow Americans. We all have the same goals. We want to be out of COVID, but we have to listen to our experts. Think about what the experts on one side are saying and what the experts on the other are side. They're saying that every scientist in this global community is in on this big conspiracy to save lives and to force you to do it. True or false, there are already numerous vaccines that are required for you to access public facility, yes and no, that you will get when you're a baby, whether you like it or not. Why aren't you complaining about those vaccines? All I'm asking for is consistency, clarify your argument. This is not a new virus that's been around for decades. If you think it is, I'm sorry that you were lied to. We know that because that's what scientists told us. Dr. Fauci has not perjured himself. In order for that to be true, there would have to be malicious intent. The majority of people in this world understand he does not. He's not a criminal. Anyone suggesting that is bordering on not Americans, but people with platforms who are libeling this American hero who should win the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I'm a Republican. I like capitalism. I care about all people. I don't treat people differently based on what they believe. I don't accuse my fellow Americans of having malicious intent. And yes, I believe in American institutions like rule of law, that science, protect the general welfare of the public, that government should protect life, liberty, and happiness for all people, not just white ones. That's all. I know that's considered establishment these days to live in reality. I'm sorry you feel that way. Not your fault. No one's forcing you to get a vaccine, and you've been lied to. Consider why. Ask who stands to benefit from this malicious lie. Love you all. God bless America. Jesus Christ is my savior. He doesn't have to be yours. Vaccines save lives. Come on now. Come on, man. Come on, man. Even Sleepy Scranton Joe knows this. Sleepy Scranton Joe. Good job creating 6 million jobs. Love to see it. You're doing good. You're doing good. We can crush COVID and build this economy back. We just got a really good infrastructure bill done. I know you jacks on the left aren't going to give Joe Biden and Republicans their credit. Mitt Romney their credit. I'm sorry. I guess I'm sleepy Joe Biden too now. But yeah, thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Kamala, for not caring about getting credit and for doing a phenomenal job as vice president, even though bad actors to dismiss your integrity. There's things I disagree with you on.
that you're a patriotic American who loves this country and wants to be a better place for all people, not just white ones. Although you're fighting for the same white people who go out of their way to smear you. New York, mad respect, mad respect, mad respect, mad respect. Vaccines save lives. Like, that should be the end of it. The end of it. Like, I'll say this to Joe, to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, you're a traitor. But I understand what you did, and mad respect for you. If you're against the Patriots, I'm rooting against you. But if they get eliminated, I'm rooting for you, man. Mad respect. But you broke my heart. You broke my heart. Vaccines save lives.
All right. That was capitalist New York passes tyrannical optional vaccine mandate to save lives. Breaking news. That was video number 8. I will say that video number 9 is significantly longer than any other video that we've reacted to so far. So I'm not going to watch it in its entirety for time's sake. It's 26 minutes, 55 seconds long. I'll probably watch 10 minutes of it. So I'll be choosing random parts at will, and let's see what we get out of it. I thought it was interesting in this last one how I say, I'm going to defer to science and experts. And in the previous video, I was like acting like I was an expert myself. Kind of a contradiction there. But it is what it is. With mania, there's going to be inconsistency. Not everything's going to be cogent. Not everything's going to be logical. And I think that was just another piece of evidence to add to the pile. If anybody has any thoughts, please feel free to share. If not, I will move on to the next video. I will screen share the next one. Oh, I'm still screen sharing, am I? Oh, yes, I am. Okay. All right, let me close that out. Now I'm just going to wait a minute to make sure that my screen is being shared. I'm looking at my phone to make sure that it is. We're almost there. All right, it looks like it has come up. Whew, man, this is a marathon, huh? Okay. I'll play the first minute of this, and I'm going to be jumping around because this is a longer video. But it's regular thing so that we can see what my pacing and pitch is. Let's get started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Tyler Adolfo here. And let's get right into it. The GOP Instagram recently put out a statement. I want to read to you the statement. Life is precious. Republican will always stand for the sanctity of life. Now, let's take that bit by bit. I agree with the first statement that life is precious. Evidence, facts, and their actions completely contradict the second statement, though. And that's what I would like to talk about. So let's address it. Republicans will offer the sanctity of life. Let's talk about what that means. But let's first create the very important context here to lay this forth as clearly as possible. There is a difference between being pro-birth and pro-life. Now, we'll get into that later, but that's the overarching theme. There's a difference between pro-birth and pro-life. The GOP is unapologetically pro-birth. They also, the vast majority of them, some unknowingly, but some willingly, are aggressively anti-life. Let's get into that perspective right now. If you remember when the COVID lockdowns first began, they actually began on Friday the 13th, very interestingly. There was this large discussion as to how are people getting medications that they need and the financial solvency post office. Now, Democrats, thing called the scientific method. You do the best you can with the information you have at the time, and you have the humility to change what you previously thought was the best option turns out not to be. And it's not because you operated out of malice or lied or committed perjury. It's because that's what the scientific method is. There's 4-year-old children who understand that. There are grown-ass adults in this country who do not. Why would you want to get rid of the postal office, the only mail carrier with the logistical infrastructure necessary to deliver life-saving medications to every single address in the country at the same rate? It doesn't matter if you're in Joe Exotic or Tom Brady, Tampa Bay. Tom, I love you, but come on, man. We would have immortalized it here. Really? And point guns at people. No, so I don't support abolition, all police. But for you to turn a blind eye and deaf ear to the incarceration crisis, why do communist countries lock up more people than we do? Well, I'm sure it has nothing to do with, buddy with the private prison industry. But think about the billions in taxpayer dollars you're wasting that could be spent on giving your Republican constituents better, more efficient healthcare, better opportunities, cheaper guns, call it what you want, anything, lower prices, higher paying jobs. But we waste money locking people up for their whole lives for nonviolent crimes, and most of them are black. And yes, it's because of the color of their skin. It has nothing to do with the addictiveness. The addictiveness of crack is more proven to be more addictive, and that's why. No, it's not. Fuck off. Moving on. Calling for the repeal of Obamacare. Let's start the story off in the beginning. You love to start the story off in the middle. Including John McCain saying we have to repeal and replace Obamacare. But then it turned out they had no plan at all. And the plan introduced by the Republican leadership was more expensive than Obamacare, the one that they claimed costing more. Stats and reality are your friend. There are independent fact checkers that are not Democrats. They are not liberals. Republican think tanks. Yeah, it's more expensive than Obamacare. Paul Ryan's plan was awful. That's why I have a video. They are more pro-gun rights than you morons. More pro-gun rights. You heard that right. More pro-gun rights. I don't care about the rhetoric. I care about the policy. They are more pro-gun rights. He said facts are stubborn things. I know Cruz likes to say, I believe in judging people based on their individual character, regardless of race, gender, creed, so forth. But there are realities and stats and facts. Don't care about your feelings. John Adams famously said facts are stubborn things. I know Cruz likes to say that a lot. And Donald Trump was right to say that he is the single biggest liar. That is not an endorsement of other things that has Trump done. But I agree with Donald Trump that Ted Cruz is the single biggest liar. I won't speak to Ted's intentions, but Ted is a liar. Administrations that were not Republican. I can criticize them for doing that, but hold the same criticism of the Republican who neglected it and did nothing as well. That's called intellectual consistency. But yeah, a lot of those immigrants who you dehumanize and call illegal aliens are far more American and patriotic than you will ever be. America is not about the place from which you are born. Being an American has to do with the ideals that you hold dear. That is my viewpoint. And these are people who are predominantly God-fearing. None of this matters. If you are an atheist and want to come here, if you represent American values and you just want an opportunity to create a better life for yourself and your family, God bless you. Welcome to America. Regardless of what you choose your own path in America. Despite the systemic issues it has. And there's a lot of them that we got to fix. Immigrants have to make that choice. Ones on our south border. A lot of this is due to interventions by presidents of both sides, but mostly Republican interventionists, who created these catastrophes in their place, their respective homes. They want to come to America to create a better life for themselves. They have to make that choice. Do I walk down this path where I have a higher chance of being deported and caught by ICE and then separated from my family? Or do I take this longer path where I have a higher possibility of dehydration or confronting a wall? Because a bunch of people who want to lock up political opponents and build the wall. Ronald Reagan's position was tear down this wall, Mr. Gorbachev, not build the wall. And I know you're gonna do it again. You're gonna do that little thing. But what about? Oh, but that's entirely different. That's an intellectual fallacy. Because you don't want to have a conversation with progressives. That is true. Stop playing political games. You don't want to have these arguments. And the Supreme Court seems to be taking this position of allowing states to deny a woman's right to choose, and that is extremely dangerous. Because the true pro-life position saves far more lives than the pessimistic America sucks, F poor people, Democrats are communists, they're actually more capitalist than you. They want to take your guns, they're more pro-gun rights than you, crazy, anti-Semitic, anti-black, Islamophobic morons to have access to them. That's the issue. Ted Cruz calls for the patrolling of Muslim streets. Are you serious? You want to patrol Muslim? Has he even apologized for that yet? Serious question. A reporter, next time you want to interview Ted Cruz and normalize the lunacy of that Zodiac killer, and Ted, I used to defend you from that. I want you to be asked once again, do you support patrolling Muslim neighborhoods? Yes and no, please. I don't want to hear, oh, but what about Hunter Biden? I don't care about Hunter Biden. He's irrelevant. He's irrelevant. That is the business of a court of law to decide whether or not he's done something wrong. If he has, a court of law will hold him accountable, and Joe Biden would not have the nerve to interfere with that process, because that's how our legal system and rule of law works, and rule of law doesn't care about your things. Republicans, you're not pro-life, but you should be, and I wish you were, because it would be great for this country, which is supposed to be the United States of America. United we stand, divided we fall.
All right, that was a video I recorded while manic. Interestingly, this one does not have a description as the other ones did. This was filmed December 5th, 2021. It looks like YouTube even created chapters on this. Let me see what the key moments are that they created different key moments here. The 3 key moments were argument of Black Lives Matter, Obamacare was a Republican idea, and John McCain. Okay. Man, I know I said this already, but this is very draining. Kenny says, thank you. Glad you're losing weight too. Yeah, thank you very much, Kenny. I greatly appreciate it. Below 300 pounds for the first time in God knows how long. Before I know it, I'll be looking like the guy wearing that OKC shirt, but I won't be like him mentally because I actually have control of my central command center now. I'm not insane anymore. We got one more video left. Video 9 is complete. We are at the grand finale, folks. The final video, I think this is a pretty funny title, if you ask me. You'll see it. I'm about to screen share. Oh, I already am. Let me cancel out of this one. There we go. And then re-screen share. Damien, not sure if you're still there, but again, if you are, appreciate all the support for the stream. So this is a pretty long one too. I'm just gonna play a few minutes of it from a couple different sections. This one does not have a description. It's from 4 years ago, December 5th, 2021. Let's get right into it.
What's going on, everybody? It's your neighborhood. Tyler Michael DeFreitas, Cleveland Adolfo III. I don't even know where I'm going with this. For this particular video, I want to talk about libertarians. Not all of them, but like the big L libertarians. I think big L is very fitting. It's emblematic of the fact that in many cases their lives are an L. And I don't say that in an insulting way. I do it because I care. I care about improving the lives of everybody in this country. And when I'm wrong, I have the humility to say so. I don't accuse the other side of having malicious intent. But I want to particularly talk about a policy that I would strongly consider if I ever hold elected office someday, if anyone gave me that honor and privilege. I would like to deport all libertarians to the moon. Hear me out, hear me out. Now, I think that libertarians have a lot of ideas. I really do. Reforming the criminal justice system, which does have systemic racism. I don't agree with abolishing police overnight or getting rid of the government. I believe that roads are good. Guilt her and say that she's not doing anything. Well, the reality is she probably actually doesn't care about the credit or what Republican smear job artists who operate unfair in America sucks and F the poor do to slander her reputation and integrity. That's a separate video. Libertarians. I believe that in a civilized society, there's this thing called the social contract, and we have agreements. And the Constitution is quite clear that the power is vested in Congress, which is we the people. By the way, elections are determined by us at the ballot box. If you don't like someone, you can put in someone you want. America's in 2016 in a certain key areas of land, which do not have a lot of inhabitants. decided that we needed to throw a nuclear device at the establishment because, yes, I empathize the so-called establishment. I don't like that terminology. I prefer the words old boys club and old chicks club because, yes, women and men, as it turns out, can be influenced. It's just that enlightenment concept, all power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But I digress once again, my friends. Conference putting forth Paul Ryan's healthcare plan on the agenda. Like it had like a 19% approval rating on the American people because the math said that it was more expensive than Obamacare, but because it had Trump's name on it and Paul Ryan's, it's good. Like, okay, buddy. Like I acknowledge that Obamacare has some flaws. My point is that those flaws are not deliberate, and Democrats would work with you to fix them and make them better. And well, opening up state lines isn't a solution to fixing the healthcare issues we have in this country. We can make the statement that we have the ability to have the best healthcare system. And the point, well, Amazon, which is a private company, doesn't want this book, which has anti-Semitic tropes and other nonsense that's dangerous. We know that from history. They are a private company, and it is well within their power to do what they want. How dare you try to tell a private company what to do with a private company? That company belongs to Jeff Bezos. There's a lot of things Jeff Bezos, I believe, can do better, but I also realize that he's a philanthropist who does a lot of good as well. I'm not saying that's an excuse for him to not pay a certain amount into the system that he should, or that the amount that he is paying now is appropriate. I'm also not saying Amazon should be abolished. I don't have all the answers. I'm willing to talk to anybody and change my mind in accordance with the information, but you can't do that because that makes you a flip-flopper. If you ever change your mind on an issue and have the humility to say when you're wrong, it means you sold out, or that you're putting policy above everything. There's people from both sides who get mad for things that I said in here. I have humility to say when I'm wrong. I change. White guy trying to be a positive difference in the world. And hope you all have a wonderful day. Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate that, happy Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate that, whatever holidays you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful time. Let the GOP engage with their usual cultural wars. Biden, mad respect for that big fat Christmas tree, bro. Mad respect for you. Mine's not as impressive. I think mine's actually artificial. But it's the thought that counts. You make do with what you got. I don't have a car. I have a bike. Maybe someday I will. We're working on it. Yeah. Just be more reasonable with people. Stop yelling at people. Let's all get on board with that. 2020s are coming up. I would like to have as an issue on the Massachusetts, the word's eluding me at the time, but as a referendum, a question to deport the libertarians of Massachusetts to the moon. I think that would be a fantastic idea. That's all. Everybody have an extraordinary Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate. Happy holidays. If you don't celebrate anything, if it's indigenous peoples, what have you, totally cool. I have nothing but respect for you. I think that we should treat everybody with dignity and respect. Just because they disagree with us, it does not mean they have malicious intent. But what do I know? I'm a brainwashed liberal who loves capitalism with compassion and serious systemic reforms.
All right, that was deport libertarians to the moon. I hear a whole lot about actually the logistics of deporting libertarians to the moon, or arguments as to why we should do that. But the title was amusing to me for what it's worth. Wearing an Oklahoma City Thunder shirt, and I'm not even an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and I'm from Massachusetts and support the Celtics. That's interesting. Yeah, that was very garrulous, excessively all over the place. If anybody has any reaction to that, I kind of skipped through just for the sake of time, out of respect for everybody's time, because we're 3 hours, 10 minutes, 52 seconds in here. But yeah, we've got 10 videos today that I had filmed and uploaded to YouTube while Manic. For anybody who's watching this after the stream, the replay of this, I just want to say, and for anybody tuning in later on, like right now, I don't endorse or condone a lot of the things I say in these videos. If you scroll to the top of chat, you'll see what the titles are of each of the videos I reacted to. The 10 videos I reacted to were: Alex Jones claims Don Jr. has improved at public speaking. TYT freaks out. Speech champion reacts. Video 2, Logan Paul won both fights. Video 3, LeBron James is not a top 5 player. He's a top 10 teammate at best. 100 reasons why MJ is still the GOAT. Video 4, why I support building a wall around Florida. That one was pretty funny to me. Video 5, Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel than arrogant, holier-than-thou chicken cup conservatives. Video 6, outright darling Tulsi wasn't censored from the 2020 Democratic debates, but she should have been. Video 7, woke freedom-loving know-it-alls don't know what the scientific method is, breaking news. Video 8, capitalist New York passes tyrannical optional vaccine mandate to save lives, breaking news. Video 9, Christian cultural conservatives are not pro-life. Video 10, deport libertarians to the moon, which is the one that we just finished. All right, let's see what we got for our comments here. Kenny says, I'm more of a moderate conservative rather than a full-blown Republican. Yeah, I would say there's probably not too many moderates these days of either side of the political spectrum. Like, I mean, I can't say I know many Democrats who would say they're center left. They kind of just call themselves Democrat. And I don't know any Republicans who refer to themselves as center right. So that's actually pretty fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Kenny. I feel like if people are moderate, they don't like share it. It feels like there's extremes now where you're either one extreme or the other. And I don't know. I was going to vote for Kamala, but got autistically burnt out on election day. I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about anything. I mean, not voting is very common. I'm not sure what the exact number is for 2020, but in 2016, the person with the most votes wasn't Donald Trump. It wasn't Hillary Clinton. It was actually nobody, because there were 100 million adults who were eligible to vote in 2016 who chose not to. So it's a totally normal thing. I'm not a fan of people who cast judgment on those who don't vote. There's legitimate reasons not to vote. If you feel like you're not represented by somebody, it's an indictment against the system. It's not an indictment against your character. The burden is on the American people to put up better politicians, people of integrity, people who are passionate and have solutions to the problems that we face. And if they don't, then that's on them. Damien says, yeah, you sounded like an auctioneer, man, nonstop. Yeah, I did speak a lot quicker in this video. This one was filmed, well, it was uploaded December 5th. I'm sure it was filmed the same day too, because when I was manic, I was filming a lot of these at once and just like putting them all out there. I'll stop sharing that screen now. Thankfully, these didn't get too many views, 11 views. Imagine if one of these videos I recorded while manic actually went like mega viral, and like while manic, I just looked in my YouTube analytics and saw, oh, the video I posted about libertarians being on the moon got 10 million views. Like, that would actually be pretty funny, but I'm not sure how manic me would have responded. I probably would have been so overjoyed and more grandiose than I typically am when manic, and that certainly would not have been a good thing. All right, well, let me stop sharing the screen. Thank you, everybody who tuned in today. Let me put that videos 9 and 10 are done. Video 9 complete. Video 10 complete. I suffered from a 6-month-long manic episode my junior year at university. Caught me off guard in many ways. My symptoms intensified over the course of the semester. In many ways, being in the psych ward actually only made me worse initially. And I lost a lot of friends. I got expelled by my university as a result. I got arrested at one point, and that was at gunpoint as well. I made a lot of recovery since then. I don't suffer from delusions anymore. I don't suffer from hallucinations as I once did. My thoughts are rational and more logically based now than they were when I was manic. I've been able to turn my life around, and although the transformation is still taking place, I think my story is evidence and a testament to the idea that if you never surrender hope, you can make positive changes in your life and get back on a positive trajectory, even in the aftermath of such negative, detrimental mental health episodes like bipolar disorder mania. I'm back in college again. I got into a new university. So I got expelled by my old one, but I got into a new one. I thought I would never go back to school, but I did. I thought I would never work again. And then I got a job working a position in management at a retail pharmacy, was able to save up some money to fund my return to school, my return to higher education. I thought I would never work again, but I did. And I've been able to build this community on YouTube, now at 1,267 subscribers, of people who tell me that my content makes them feel less alone. My content has made them more educated on the topic of bipolar disorder. And it means the world to me that you all support the videos. And to everyone watching, whether live or looking at the replay, I sincerely appreciate, and I just want to express my gratitude for all the support you've shown. We're building a strong community here, and I'm so proud of the progress that I've made individually. I love hearing your individual stories and lived experiences as well. We're tackling this highly stigmatized world where mental health is so taboo, and I feel like we're making a positive difference, even though we're just a niche community here. So thank you for everybody who tuned in. If you want to look at any of the videos we analyzed, at some point tomorrow, not tonight, but I will put timestamps on when I started looking at each clip for time convenience sake, for people who watch the replay. With that being said, thank you everybody for watching. My name is Tyler Adolfo. Love, light, and tranquility to all.